Yeah.
I'd like to call to the order the Westerly Town Council meeting for Monday, January 12th, 2026. All councilors are present, town manager, town solicitor, town clerk, and town sergeant. I'd like to first call on Councilor Shalaba for invocation.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone. What I want to say is I'd like to propose that everybody start working together better. We need to put our personal feelings aside and think about what is best for the greater good of this town. We need to do better. This is a new year with new beginnings. We can do this, so let's get it done.
Thank you. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the living republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is recognitions, awards, and memorials, and we're proud to have commendations for first the Squamish Fire Department. I believe Councilor Niemeyer has that, and after that, the Wart Hill Fire Department. I'm sorry, Councilor.
Good evening. Happy New Year, everybody. The Westerly Town Council commends the Misquamicut Fire Department in recognition of their quick response and teamwork in rescuing Phoenix, a 5-year-old golden Labrador retriever, after he fell through the ice on Little Massachog Pond on New Year's Day. With the assistance of mutual aid from the Watch Hill Fire Department, firefighters suited up in ice rescue gear and were able to reach Phoenix. helping him onto an inflatable rescue boat and safely returning him to shore. The incident was a successful first call of 2026. The Westerly Town Council recognizes these dedicated members of the Mesquamaket Fire Department from their prompt response and efficient actions and extends its appreciation for their commitment and service to the citizens of the community. In witness whereof, we have hereby set our hands and caused the seal of the town of Westerly to be hereunto affixed this 12th day of January, 2026, signed by all councilors.
And next, Watch Hill Fire Department commendation, Councilor Niemeyer.
The Westerly Town Council commends the Watch Hill Fire Department in recognition of their quick response and teamwork in rescuing Phoenix, a 5-year-old golden Labrador retriever, after he fell through the ice on Little Massachog Pond on New Year's Day. With the assistance of mutual aid from the Mesquamaket Fire Department, firefighters suited up in ice rescue gear and were able to reach Phoenix, helping him onto an inflatable rescue boat and safely returning to the shore. This incident was a successful first call of 2026. The Westerly Town Council recognizes these dedicated members of the Watch Hill Fire Department for their prompt response and efficient actions and extends its appreciation for their commitment and service to the citizens of the community. In witness whereof, we have hereby set our hands and caused the seal of the town of Westerly to be hereunto affixed this 12th day of January, 2026, signed by all councilors.
So Wesley thanks our fire departments for their heroics, their training, and their demonstration at a moment's notice to come to our aid, or come, in this case, to the dog's aid. It was a great story on national TV. You made Wesley proud. Thank you. Next on the agenda, presentations. The Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, Rhode Island Statewide Communications Network Tower Proposal for Tower Street. Mark Pappas, Director, Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency. I just want to, before we begin, I want to state that the council has learned about this over the last 2 weeks, through a notice in the paper. And of course, we've gotten a lot of phone calls and we've asked a lot of questions. So this is a fact-finding presentation. It's not an endorsement, if you will, or an approved vote, if you will. It's only for finding out what the facts are of it, and the public will have a chance after on citizens' comments to ask additional questions. But with that said, Mr. Pappas?
Let Sean, Sean wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Give a little introduction. You guys can sit down. So this is for, I know a lot of the talk was, it was a cell tower community. It's not a cell tower community. This is for the 800 megahertz radio system in the state. which is used by the police department, the fire department, and the EMS. We have, because of the topography of Westerly, we've been dealing with this my entire police career, is a bunch of dead spots in town, non-radio communication. We've been working with them for years trying to correct this issue. We've adjusted things, we've tried things differently. So they had a study done to come up with an ideal location for a tower. Obviously, they're looking for something that's in control of the town. And they came up with this location of a proposal for a tower. It's at no expense to the town. It's funded by the EMA side at the state side. And again, this is a presentation from them kind of explaining the nuts and everything regarding this and why the proposal and the location and so forth. So
And there's no revenue source for this proposal for the town, is that?
there's no revenue source proposal for the
This-
town. No, and this would improve, I mean, this would improve radio communications, what they can explain for the police department, which is mainly that their whole police communication is on the 800 megahertz system. And again, it becomes the life situations when they do not have radio communication on calls becomes very problematic. The fire side of it also uses the 800 system, as well as the ambulance also uses the 800 system, as well as the entire state. So we can talk to police departments all over the state on this 800 megahertz, the system that we're using now, as well as Connecticut uses the same system also. So, but I'll let them go into details of the whole proposal.
Thank you for that overview. Mr. Pappas?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're honored to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. The town manager did just a terrific job of the overview, so I don't know, I don't need to go on. I'm always here. So we're here to present to you our information on what our proposal is to build a communications tower. As was just stated, this is purely a first responder communications tower aimed only at communication, radio communication for first responders, so police, fire, EMS. So there will be no cell tower, no cell companies occupy space. We've done this a number of times throughout the state. There are 29 towers in Rhode Island. We just finished one in the town of Warren. That went pretty well. We did one before that in North Smithfield, did one before that in Burrillville, did one before that in the town of Foster. We did one not that long ago next door in Narragansett. So we'll get started with your permission. So a quick overview of the RISCON system by state statute 3015-43 authorizes the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency as the primary and only administrator for the statewide communications radio system. We call that RISCON for short, as the statewide communications network. It is comprised of, as I said, 29 tower sites. All sites are connected via point-to-point microwave and a fiber backhaul for redundancy to form a system that works simultaneously. It is not for cell phone use. Some of the folks who use the RISCON system are all state agencies, including us, the Department of Transportation, the Rhode Island State Police, Rhode Island Department of of Environmental Management, Rhode Island Department of Health, and hospitals also use it. RIPTA uses it, etc. Local fire departments, either full-time or part-time, for mutual aid. Local police departments, most of those are full-time. How about some are part-time for mutual aid? Local emergency management agencies, RISCON is a direct link to REMA versus into the State Emergency Operations Center. Other federal agencies have permission to use the RISCON system, such as the Coast Guard, FEMA, the Rhode Island National Guard, the Rhode Island Air National Guard, and others, and other non-governmental organizations for disaster response, to include sheltering, healthcare services, to include the American Red Cross and hospitals, as I mentioned. So what are we proposing here tonight? We're looking to build a tower site with generator, all owned by different parties. That's what you have now. It's problematic for us because it doesn't give great coverage. As the town manager said, we've been working with the town of Westerly for about 20 months on issues with communication and gaps in coverage, which is not acceptable, but there is no 100% guarantee that everything will always work in radio communications, but we strive for that. This site down here is one of 9 critical tower sites in the Risk-Con South Zone. The requirements for the site are only 50 by 50. It's a fenced-in area that contains the tower, the building, and a backup generator should we lose power. The new tower site enhances local Risk-Con coverage. Westerly Police, Westerly Ambulance, Westerly Hospital, and the fire districts use it daily. And the tower space is available for local fire department and police department antennas. And when I say no cost, we don't charge for that either. So if they have a different system other than 800 megahertz, we're happy to put on their UHF VHF system on the tower for no cost. So this is a quick rendition of the tower. It's to the tip of the lightning rod. It's 187 feet. The Risk-Con antenna is 175. We're at the 170 mark, the microwave at 160 and 150. Town antennas will be mounted at various heights on the tower to make sure that their radio signals are better serve them. Who's going to benefit? Westerly Police, Westerly Fire Districts, Westerly Ambulance, and the hospital. Charleston Police, Charleston Fire District, Charleston EMS. Hopkinton Police, the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, DOT, a lot of the agencies that I mentioned before, State Police, RIPTR, and the Coast Guard. So this is just a first step. We haven't done anything yet. We will not do anything yet until this council and the town manager says go. So I heard there was something in the newspaper. I think a company got a little out over their skis a little bit, to be quite honest with you. And truthfully, I can explain that if someone wants to ask, because I know I'm going to get questions, which is fine. So many times when we make these presentations, this is always a first step, is to meet with the council and the town manager and give this exact presentation. Like, what do we want to do, how we want to do it, and give you a basic plan, right? And part of that is, what does this tower look like? And that piece that was posted in the paper, I think it was around Christmas, and then it was picked up on an opinion page, really was us asking if they could do a rendition. What does the tower look like? So they have to put up a balloon. And when they put up that balloon, they travel around the city. So they kind of pave the way for anybody that asks why people are out taking pictures of that balloon that's up in the air, may have not even noticed it. But they're required to, by the FCC, to put something out just to announce that they're doing it. And so I have a full rendition from all different aspects of the town of Westerly of what that tower would look like. I'm happy to share that with you. We have it with thumb drive tonight. I only printed one. I'm sorry for the group, but if someone wants to take it, or if you want it by thumb drive, we're happy to do that as well. Sir, how are you? So again, with your permission, what would we like to do? We were told that there is a space available by the town manager to erect a 175-foot lattice tower, generator, and communication shelter, connectivity with microwave, and in the future, fiber backhaul. Again, no cost to the community, no cell equipment on the tower. End result is a 175-foot lattice tower that can hold all town and state equipment with redundant microwave and fiber connections. I will say this, we have been presented a lot of challenges. Westerly is not easy. The topography and geography of this town make it very difficult for radio communications, as the town manager alluded to. This tower site is the highest site we can find, which is key to radio communications, so that we can do the point-to-point and make sure that the coverage goes out, because it becomes very difficult to get down by the water. And I know how many times you get calls for the beach when that season arrives. So this tower fills in a lot of gap coverage from where we are now. And it just makes it a whole lot easier for us to operate the site when it's yours and mine. and all those folks that occupy space on that tower. Right now, it's not that. It's owned by a third party. We have no control over it. So this puts the control back in your pocket, in my purview, and it makes it just a whole lot easier for police, fire, and EMS to do their business. I'm happy to take any questions.
Sure, Council Healy, you.
Thank you, guys. As you can see, we definitely have a lot of questions. So I guess my first one is, you mentioned that height is the most important. If I can get you a taller location, would you move it?
So many times when we deal with cities and towns, there are dispensations that get asked by the town. And in 100% transparency, I get nothing out of this. The only thing I get is the benefit of knowing police, fire, and EMS talk, right? So there's no, I don't get any money. I derive no funding from it. It ends up costing us a ton of money to put this up. And
It's
so
definitely
if you have another site,
So it's definitely needed. I don't want to speak lightly on it. We need it. This is very important. So I was looking at 3 different sites and doing the height elevation. I actually had help from a resident. So where it is on Tower Street, the elevation is about 150 feet. But if we go into the town forest, I know everybody's going to freak out, but hear me out. That's 180 feet. And it is, there's a National Grid power line about 700 feet away. And the nearest home is about 1,000 feet away. And our Potter Hill residents are about a mile away. So as far as visually and then being close to residents, that was the main location that the resident and I agreed upon as being out of sight, but hopefully still useful. I don't know if it's, we talk about the elevation with the water being so low. Is that going to be, I don't know the science behind it, but I wanted to present that location because it would not be viewable for any of the residents over there at all. Thank you.
so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Oh, may I ask what the access is to that site? So access becomes the height is super important,
Yes.
but then access, right? So access to get into service the site. If there's inclement weather, we need to be able to get there. If there's a power outage and an issue, we need to service it. There are updates that need to be done
With the
by not only
national,
my team, but
with National Grid line there, I feel pretty confident. I think
yeah, I'm just not. familiar.
along, probably going to be a little bit of a drive, but it's definitely accessible in my opinion.
Town road runs up to it, and it's all pretty much at grade. So it's worth looking at. Councilor Shalaba?
Thank you for your presentation. I have a few questions. First thing, I was just curious, you mentioned, unless I misheard, you mentioned that you've been working on this for 20 months. How come this is the first time we're hearing about it?
Yeah, so 20 months, not on the tower, but for communications issues with the town of Westerly. Not on the tower, but communications issues. We've been in here a lot talking to police and fire on issues they have with gaps in coverage to the point where we went on ride-alongs with police and fire, going out to different areas that got identified as not being good coverage. So for about that long, 18, 20 months, we've been working with the town to try to come up with, ways to try to solve issues with connectivity.
Okay, do you know under our own ordinance for codes for communications towers, the site that you're looking at is not acceptable to the town? Per our own communication ordinance, which is 260-85 for communication installments, Tower Street is not an approved site.
Didn't know that.
Yes, it is not.
Like I said, this is just a first step. This is our presentation, so you
Okay.
you are the town council, right? So you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, I'll just read some off so everybody can kind of hear it.
Sure.
We have a lot at the Westerly Charlestown border. We have a lot in Quarry Road in Bradford, a lot on High Street, Ashaway Road, Cedar Swamp Town Wellhead Site, Westerly Landfill, which is another good area because I also agree that the town forest is good as well as the landfill. Ward Avenue, the high school athletic field, Old Post Road near Charlestown, Westerly Charlestown border, Bradford Dying Association, except the portion within 300 feet of the river for residential areas, and 29-33 Old Carriage Road. So just want to put that out there. I have documents if you need to see that. The other thing is the 187 feet, that's 18 stories high. Why are you going to have a lattice that doesn't cover the whole thing? And is there going to also be a fence around it? Because people can climb lattices.
So the footprint of the tower is 50 by 50. So there's a concrete pad that gets poured. That's for the shelter that holds the racking system for the tower, right? And then the tower is bolted to that site. So it's only 50 by 50. It's not a very big footprint.
I appreciate what you're doing because it's very important for our emergency services and the people of this town because it is needed. However, I don't think the site at the moment is the site that it should be at. I think there definitely needs to be a lot more discussions about that. And I do appreciate that there is no charge to the town, but definitely keep communications open with us because I think not just from the people in the audience, the people up here are very, very interested in what's going to happen. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Councilor Petra?
Hi, sir. I'm not a radio tower expert like my fellow councilors, so I'm just gonna ask a few other questions. First of all, thank you for telling us that Green Mountain got over their skis on the classified ad in the paper. I thought they just did coffee. I never heard of Green. So Green Mountain Communications, if you wanted to explain why you think they even printed that, why that went to press, you said you might address that question. Is this something you want to address? Because I don't know why they printed it either. I was a little disappointed that that classified ad ran when this process hasn't even begun. And I think we could all agree on that. What I would like to say is, much like low-income housing or anything else, I think everybody in this room agrees we need it. Much like the tower, everybody in this room is going to say they agree, but much like low-income housing, everybody's going to say not in my backyard. That's what you're going to face, and you probably faced that 29 other times already in the state, I'm sure. So the question is going to become, why Tower Street? And we know that you like that spot, and obviously you would be open to looking at alternative spots, but could you just talk to us a little bit about why you think that Tower Street is the right spot for this tower?
Yeah, sure. So it's your town, it's your spot, right? You own it. That's a Westerly owned area. And for us, it meets all the height requirements. So for those reasons, because it's easier to deal with the town and town planning and zoning officials, it just becomes a lot easier for us to do that.
Is there any reason besides height? Because we could find other places in town of similar height. Is the location of the matter either? If we find a similar height 10 miles down the road, would that be as good, or are we just talking height alone? Is that the only requirement that we
So
want?
it's not just height, it's the ability to access the site too. And so we can get fiber to the site. So if there's a problem with the microwave system, it gets backed up by the fiber, right? And so that area is pretty close to a fiber connection. Running fiber is ridiculously expensive. So the closer I am to fiber, the better it is for us. So that's a contributing factor to some of the way we rationalize where it goes.
So we got height, fiber accessibility, anything else? Is as long as it's high enough and you have access to fiber, like, once again, I know nothing about radio towers. I'm learning it from you. Is it something that we could move considerably and still have the same coverage and same desired effect? Is this spot so good that you would hate to move away from it, or could we find a dozen spots that are so good? I guess is my question.
Would you like me to answer this?
Go ahead. This is my communications branch chief, Gil Woodside, who deals with this every single day and is the living expert on radio communications. So
Thank you, Director.
Yeah.
In reference to your question, so yes, we do have the ability to move that site, I'll say a little bit. What comes into play with this, with moving it, let's say eastward down on the Charlestown line, which was one of the sites I believe that was mentioned. We have a site at Charlestown Police. We get the sites too close together, it takes coverage away. It will actually take the coverage out of Westerly because it's so far
Okay.
back towards the east. So when we looked at the site, we looked at where it is in relation to the current site and how that would affect positively or negatively the current coverage that the police department and the other agencies enjoy in town with the tower location where it is. The proposed location actually increases the coverage down along the beach, where Westerly Police has considerable coverage issues at this time. So we're moving it, it's roughly about a mile south of where it is now. It doesn't appreciably change for the worse, the coverage, but they'll gain coverage. Basically think of it as a flashlight and a shadow. If there's an object in the way, the flashlight will be blocked, the light from the flashlight. It's the same thing with radio waves. If there are obstructions in the way, the radio waves are blocked. So by putting the tower there, we've actually moved it around some of the occlusions along the south coast. So it actually assists the agencies with the radio coverage along the coast, the nightclubs and everything down there where traditionally they have issues. It doesn't adversely affect the coverage to the north or the west side of town because of where it is on that particular hill ridge line when you look at the contour map. So that's something we have to very seriously consider. If we move it too far, we may take, let's say, Hopkinton Police right off the air, or we may create harmful interference to Charlestown EMS. So these are all things, the way the system works, that we have to take into consideration all the time. So it's kind of like we want to move it and we want to get the best we can get without making it worse for other people. So
That's a great answer. That's what I was looking for. I was curious about that. Thank you. And, this will be a little bit of a process, but you helped explain some things to me. I appreciate it.
entirely well.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for coming. I just have a few questions. Our zoning laws, I think it's across the board for most towers and such, are supposed to be 300 feet from any residential houses. Now, I don't know if any measurements have been taken, but I have driven by the site and there's some houses that are pretty close to this site, okay? Not to mention it's right smack in the middle of a residential neighborhood to begin with, which is my neighborhood as well. So I just saw your pictures and it's quite the eyesore for miles. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll have a red light flashing in my backyard for day in and day out. So that's one thing. Also, yes, our ordinance does not call for this site at all. I did look that up as well. What about radio waves and electrical impulses and health and that whole gamut that people are very concerned about, rightfully so? If you can.
100% understand the question, and we get that all the time.
Yeah.
We did some background research for this site. Gil has done some for other sites. So there's no appreciable human contamination of radio waves that can occur. You would have to be
About 26 feet. from the
26
antenna.
feet from the antenna, which all of that is about 175 feet up for an extended period of time, meaning like years, to get any appreciable impact from radio waves. No one's going to be up there that high for that long. So for all intents and purposes, there would be no adverse effect to anybody.
Is there a study or a report somewhere that you
Yeah,
can definitely
Sure.
get our way? That would be great. And also our high school is right there. There's the kids, the teachers, the whole 9 yards. That's, I think, the biggest dispute. We're not disputing that a tower isn't needed because it certainly is. However, just not there. The dump, the transfer station, from what I'm hearing, and I did not clarify this, so forgive me, solar panels were supposed to go there and a lot of land was cleared back in there for the solar panels. And from what I'm hearing, they were it's not going to happen. So it's really a site that is pretty, it's accessible. We have all of our other town, it's our town lot. It's pretty flat. You can get out there. It's also at a high altitude. It won't be such an eyesore for everybody in the neighborhood. So I would seriously ask that you do consider that as one. But again, with the ordinances and the residential distance, it's a problem on that site. And I will ask the question, why did Green Mountain jump the gun like that? I mean, they just lit a fire under everybody in this town. And rightfully so.
So as part of the process moving forward with the approval of the council, there's certain criteria that we have to meet to satisfy the FCC. So the vendor that Green Mountain uses to do the photo simulations. So when they come out, part of their contracted work through Green Mountain is to do the posting. We're not supposed to do the posting for this because we don't have any permits in place. They were just supposed to come and take the pictures for the photo simulations. So they did that inadvertently. They were not supposed to. That's why that came out.
Gotcha.
In all honesty, we found out this afternoon. We had no knowledge of it.
Yeah, if you could just ask them the next time to please put it on the front page of the newspaper instead of the back page of the newspaper, because we want transparency, truly. I mean, the best way to get to the people in this town is to tell them the truth and to show them everything that you have, put everything out on the table. Otherwise, you're going to get this kind of reaction and everybody's going to be up in arms. I just think we could have really nipped this in the bud if it had been done correctly. But I thank you for your presentation. It did answer some of my questions. It's just the site that I'm truly concerned about. Thank you.
Council Niemeyer.
Thank you, gentlemen. So far you've had some alternative sites suggested to you by the council. You've told us why this one was so special in particular that you chose it. As you were going through this process, did you have any spots that were close, any runners up that perhaps you had some detriment with that we could also consider? Anything along those lines?
So this is the journey, right? It's a process. This is us meeting each other for the first time. I don't know what else Westerly has in its archive of places we could try out. I know we've done studies and maps with Motorola for coverage. We'll certainly take it back to them, and if you'd like, we can look at all the sites that you have and do coverage and come back and report back at a later date when we have that information. But this is the process, and we're happy to do it.
We're right at the start. Have you communicated to Green Mountain that they got over their skis and caused a brouhaha? Okay, good to know. All right, well, thank you.
Council Aiello.
Thank you. And thank you for coming, and it's great that you're here, and great to see so many people here coming to listen. I am familiar with communications a little bit, not a highly technical aspect of it. I was in a communications unit in the military, and so I'm a little bit familiar with the radio and all that. And I understand the importance of the emergency communication system, especially during disasters or major events. So several questions have been answered, some highlights related to, you mentioned, I understand proximity to other towers. I get all that. Now, how far, say from the ocean, for instance, the Coast Guard uses this as well. So how far from the ocean should the tower really be? Or what's the maximum distance that it could really be in our situation here?
We've ever done
That is a very interesting
It's an
question.
interesting question, yeah. We've never thought about what the distance is for the Coast Guard inland, right, to be able to
Right.
still do that.
So,
Yeah, that's a,
I mean, we do know it covers the entire bay.
The
So,
bay.
yes, the entire bay is covered. So when the police boats, the fire boats, DEM, state police, Coast Guard, when they're out on the bay, they have full access to the state communications.
How about between Westerly and Block Island, and even Block Island for that matter?
It actually works on
It
Block
does.
Island.
Works.
Yes.
It does.
Yep, there is
So-
coverage from the Charlestown site of all.
On the Charlestown site.
And thank you for your service, by the way, sir.
Thank you. So this would enhance coverage, say, going out more towards the Connecticut side over the ocean.
Yes.
Right. I'd be interested to know about how far the, it can-
So
it can
there's
go. I'm-
multiple products.
You have the
that can
atmosphere and all,
and
and so many
everything,
variables,
what the
yeah.
boat has on it for a radio
Yeah.
and an antenna. So there are a lot of variables, but
Right.
we do know it covers the entire bay.
Okay, all right. And it does go all the way out to Block Island.
Yes.
All right, good to know. And so that answers really my questions at this point. I think, I mean, normally the towers would go through the planning board process. Applications go through there and they'd be looking at all this. The public would be welcome to come and speak. And there's a lot of criteria that's supposed to be met for towers and distances and all that, locations. And council mentioned some of the locations in the ordinance that are listed, that some may work, some won't work for what you're looking for. The town forest is an interesting location. It's not that far, and top of High Street. Definitely worth looking at.
It's Lauren, yeah. Not high.
Yeah, so, and that definitely has some height to it there. And that's also far enough away from the airport, it won't interfere with the planes. So
So if you could just do us a favor, if you have a list of places you'd like us to look at, other than what we have for you today,
right,
we'll be happy to do an assessment of every single one of those and come back with the results and compare it against what we have presented today. Happy to do it.
okay. And I'm not sure how my fellow counselors feel about it, but my preference is to go through the planning board process of it, but that's my feeling. I think everybody, from what I hear, people support improving emergency communications. So now it's just a matter of locating it. And so I just wanted to clarify, you said with the 800 megahertz radio, right? So not like all this other cell and 5G and all this other stuff as far as the EMs, you know, and power lines, and no concern with that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone's had a chance to speak or ask questions. I'll just go over some of the reactions. Green Mountain, when they came out, 2 days before Christmas, it was like a big shock. And being in the engineering permitting world, usually you have the owner's permission to work on a site. You wouldn't spend engineering dollars on a site which didn't have permission of the owner. So it's odd that the town council, the town manager didn't offer that permission before you did that study. So I'll just throw that out there. The suggestion to have a list of places to look at, I think that's a great suggestion. We definitely want to work together with emergency management. We want to meet those needs that are short. So I think that's the best takeaway is having that list of places. There's no health or safety, the 5G that was raised, that's not an issue. But the appearance of it, the use of it, all that could have a detrimental impact potentially on a neighborhood. So looking at acceptable places, I think, is a good idea with a council. The water tanks, those don't qualify as we have the water tank next to it on Tower Hill Road. We've got the one on Tank Road, Winnapogue Road.
Yeah, I know the two water tanks as well. I don't know. Yes.
It's not preferable for us to work off towers that aren't communication towers. We've had tower sites in Richmond that were on a fire tower that burned down. We had one up in North Smithfield that was on another fire tower that didn't work out. There's one up at URI that we had to work on just because it was on a water tower. and that's not preferable. It needs to meet all the criteria for our equipment, your equipment, and wind and all of the things that goes through that the water towers do not have. So it would be preferable for us to actually put it on a communications tower.
Okay, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I
Structures that
totally get it.
exist. Yeah, the town forest is the highest point in Westerly. It might fit. I think the access is accessible there. I don't know when any deed restrictions are. We'd have to look at potentially that issue, but yeah, if we had a list of sites to provide, you know, on the first blush, what the town council would support, and then it can go through planning and zoning, or certainly planning on the development aspects of it. But I think as a town council, we want to make certain that we're standing behind what these potential sites are. I don't believe, as Councilor Shalab has said, I don't believe this Tower Street is a good spot, but. So we don't have to rule it out tonight. We can leave it on the list. And we can hear from the public and come back, but I think I've heard some good alternatives. That covers everyone. Yes, town manager?
Just to clarify, it's probably a good idea if you guys forward me some locations, I can forward them to the director
Sure.
and then they can research them. And just to clarify what Mary indicated, all the locations, I was involved when that was put together. Those are all the locations of current towers. They don't zone areas in town that you allow to put towers up. And the ordinance also allows them to put up on water towers, as was mentioned. And the reason the high school is mentioned is because there's all kinds of antennas on top of the tower at the
Yeah.
center of the high school. So that's why the high school is one of the locations mentioned, but all the locations mentioned are areas there's current, some sort of radio tower on. So those were all formatted because they had to, with the zoning ordinances, to create locations as towers that's accessible because we have them there. So just-
Didn't that ordinance begin with when the cell towers just started coming out?
it was all the cell, it's about in the early 2000s when they,
Yeah, so
and we have a cell tower behind the police department.
right.
There's a cell tower coverage. PO frequency was mentioned because we can talk as clear as day, believe it or not, Westerly, but we used to, when we had different frequency, to Montauk Point. The police in Long Island, we could talk to as clear as day. But it's the terrain of the land is what breaks up the signals, which is how they outlined. So,
Yeah, so to Councilor Niemeyer's point, there might be a second tier of acceptable spots that meet the other criteria. So it's a good idea. We'll get the potential sites to the town manager and work with the emergency management to, because it's definitely needed. Any other comments at this time? Thank you for coming in.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I just want to enter into the record correspondence we received today in opposition to the proposed site from Holly Selico, Jenny Chun, and Dion Luzzy.
Thank you. Thank you again for coming in and explaining this. I'm sure we'll have at least one, if not more, meetings.
Look forward to it,
Public.
sir, and my apologies for that issue with Green Mountain. That won't happen again. I addressed that. You know, and we've done this with them a bunch of times. It's never happened before, so maybe there's a little comfort factor on their part that they shouldn't have done, so that won't happen again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris,
Thank
one
you
other thing,
all.
if I could just clarify, I don't want anyone to think that they didn't have permission to do anything. I mean, they had a drone company come in and take pictures of this area. We knew that was the location and that was they were putting this together to come to council to present it. So I don't want to even have the interpretation that, you know, REMA came in and just started surveying town properties and we had no knowledge of it. So.
No, I gather
Yeah.
that in the 20 months working with the fire chiefs, police.
And just to give you an idea, they spent probably, I'm guessing, you know, you guys probably spent 3 days here in a vehicle that went to every square inch of town on every single road, monitoring radio frequencies to see where they had coverage and not, you did it for a long time, right?
Yeah,
You
we
had a
did it
full
twice.
map of the
Twice.
entire town where there was lost coverage. There's been, and that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, it's been going on for a bit.
Yes.
The only issue is the town council hasn't been apprised of this study over the 18, 20 months, and we weren't looking at the alternative sites with you, so I think
I think the
Taking a
18 to
step
20
back,
month,
if we can
yeah,
do that.
the 18 to 20 month thing is how long that we've been engaged in those radio communications issues that many times we can resolve without having to come to the council and build a tower, right? So all of that has led us to where we are here tonight, to look at a tower site to bolster the communications for first responders. So yeah, a lot of that was just us trying to work on an issue without having to bring it to this level.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the presentations. Next is citizen comments. And there's a sign-up sheet of citizens. This portion of citizens' comments is regulated to anything that's on the agenda, including the presentation just heard. You have 5 minutes that you would like to speak. If you would state your name and address for the record. So first is David Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. David Patton, 1 Marone Court, Westerly. My wife and I also own a home on Ledward Avenue. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in strong opposition to this site. I know Director Pappas well, and I have the highest respect for him. Definitely need a tower. I trust him on that. 15 Tower Street is not the location for it. Like you, I care deeply about this town. I have put my heart and soul into the Westerly Police Station, the Westerly High School, and the Westerly School Department. I'm a longtime FOPA member, and I support the police department and the emergency responders. However, we must object to building a tower on this site. My objection is based on damage to the historical character of this part of town, potential health concerns, and the impact of property values in the area. The proposed location is the epicenter of the historic granite industry in Westerly. Orlando Smith purchased the land known as Quarry Hill in the 1840s. Sadly, it was not feasible to reuse the granite structure that stood at the corner of Tower Street and Granite Street since 1884. Building a 187-foot tower on this property would add insult to injury. Health threats are a subject of ongoing debate. The equipment installed on the proposed tower on day 1 may not be the same equipment in 5 or 10 years from now. Some studies report headaches, sleep disturbances, anxiety, potential impacts on brain function for people living close to towers. This is for not only cell towers, but also towers that emit RF energy. And an 800 megahertz tower would do that. Consider if the average home, lastly, the visual insult of the proposed tower would be an eyesore to the area. Consider if the average home is 35 feet tall, the tower would be over 5 times that height and approximately twice as tall as the existing tower. Studies show that larger towers can cause devaluation of up to 30%. So the impact to the grand list must be considered. Why not use existing towers? And comments that the councilors have made this evening are encouraging. There are other better sites for this tower. The ordinance of Chapter 260 was mentioned. I won't belabor that. The comprehensive plan calls for the preservation of the community's character and charm. This area of town has been described as the gateway property in planning board proceedings. Why in the world would you place a gigantic tower at the gateway to our town. I ask that you reject this site, and as comments have been made this evening, encourage the selection of a site that's more appropriate. I just want to pass on, one of my neighbors, Mr. Shimento, is here tonight. I've also been in touch with other neighbors in the area, including Tony DiGiacomo and Dion Luzzi. And they raise a good point that there's been significant investment in this part of town from private citizens. That was done with the assumption of the existing comprehensive plan and the ordinances. And changing that would discourage future investment. So I ask that you, again, pursue other sites that are more appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jean Fournier.
My name is Jean Fournier. I live at 114 Granite Street, Unit 210. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the condos at the Atrium located at 114 Granite Street. Our building is located directly across the quarry from the proposed telecommunications tower. Currently, there are 56 tax-paying Westerly residents who live in the condos. I am here on behalf of the board to voice our objection to the proposed tower for the following reasons. The Quarry Hill section of town has important historical significance. The extraction of granite from the quarry that we overlook provided employment and income to ancestors. Granite from the quarry adorns many of the historical buildings and beautifies Riverbend Cemetery. We have already defaced this area by tearing down the granite store that was located at the corner of Tower and Granite, as well as the stone water tower. Now we are planning to mar it further by erecting a 187-foot telecommunications tower in the center of the historic area. Rather than enjoying the wildlife that populates the quarry from our community outdoor area or our windows, our residents will now be subjected to seeing a huge telecommunications tower looming over them, a site not appealing to our residents nor to future buyers, thus decreasing our property values. We also have a major concern with the blinking light that will have to be installed at the top of the tower. It appears it will shine right into the units on the north side of the building, disrupting quiet enjoyment of the living area facing the quarry during the evening hours, and more importantly, sleep. While it is possible that emissions from the tower should not affect health, lack of sleep does. We understand the importance of this tower for better emergency communication. However, a highly populated historic area does not seem appropriate. This is a poor location, and we ask for your reconsideration. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next is Jim Tarbox.
Jim Tarbox, 52 Riverview Avenue. I apologize for reading from a prepared statement this evening, but I got blindsided by this, just as many of you did. And I'm here to speak in absolute opposition to the proposed communication tower. While industry-funded studies will downplay the health risks associated with RF and microwave radiation, most worldwide independent research shows clear adverse health effects, and therefore they generally recommend a 300-meter or roughly 1,000-foot buffer zone to minimize exposure risk. And that's even for 800 meg systems. That's not just for cell phones, cell towers. Currently, the homes on Ledward Avenue, Tower Street, and surrounding neighborhoods, as well as Granite Hill Apartments, the Atrium on the Quarry condos, and alarmingly, the Westerly High School, all are contained within this high-risk zone. I did not realize that we already had cell towers on the Westerly High School, taking good care of our children. The property value impact of this project also can't be overlooked. If I owned property near this site, I'd already have an attorney on retainer. The public's often sold on these safety industrial complex boondoggles by being told that there'll be no taxpayer cost as if there was a grant funding forest where the money's harvested from. It's all taxpayer dollars, and it appears from some of the discussion tonight that Green Mountain seemed to be in a hurry to get to the trough ahead of everybody else. And while rapid, reliable emergency communications and response is important, the potential negative impacts of the abutting neighbors far outweigh any real benefit. And of course, the easiest way to get people to give up their rights, property and otherwise, is to tell them that they're being made safer. At the least, I'd ask this council to be provided documented, dated proof of specific emergency incidents in Westerly where dead spots in service resulted in tragedy or near tragedy. Our comprehensive plan approved by the state is clear regarding the preservation of the town's character. This project is wholly incompatible with the vision so clearly laid out in that comprehensive plan. So I ask that an alternative site be considered. Ms. Vandover brought up the unused portion of the landfill property might be considered since there would be no residential property impacts, though I'm guessing that probably have, because of the soil there, I'm guessing the concrete pilings would be needed to support some sort of a platform. Not so sure how I feel about the town forest. I haven't been up there in a while, but I believe that there's residential properties within the 1,000-foot recommended distance keeping, but we can talk more about that. So I'm fully against this, and I would ask you to at least consider an alternative site for the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jerry Brunel.
Jerry Brunel. I live at 4 Joshua Street, which is about a block away from the proposed site. And I can say that my house faces directly right towards the water tower. When I draw the curtains in the morning, the first thing I'll see is this industrial size tower that's going to, in my opinion, it's just going to ruin the whole look of the area. It's the highest point in town almost, and when you come up from downtown, when you're at the beach, you'll be able to see this. That's the first thing you're going to see. It's ugly as sin, and I think it's going to take away from everyone's property values. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next is Tony Chimento.
Good evening. My name is Tony Chimento. I own 2 properties on Ledward Avenue. One is 4 Ledward Avenue, directly across the street from the proposed tower location. And I also own 12 Ledward Avenue, where I bought the property indirectly from the town where the stone water tank was demolished. On that property, National Grid has an easement through the town, and there's a very, very tall wood tower there with an existing inter-vehicle communication system set up for National Grid. Maybe that could be an option for a maybe happy medium as an option. I know it's very close, but there's already a tower there. So I directly oppose this. I own multiple properties in that location. I understand the economics of construction, I'm a contractor, and I understand you want to be close to fiber and stuff like that. We're talking trenching, road construction. I get it. But at the end of the day, I grew up in Tower Street area. I went to Tower Street School. I invested in the property. I'm a graduate. I'm a local contractor. I'm a police supporter. But Tower Street is and would be the absolute worst location for this tower. Like I would fight till the day is long to protect my neighborhood that I grew up in and the properties that I own there to make this not happen. So I'm ready to fight, but I'm also ready to support. I just want to make it known that that's not the right spot for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ben Weber.
Hello, Ben Weber, 3 Blossom Court. Westerly. I'm Chair of the Harbor Management Commission, here on as a concerned citizen for this one. So emergency management is a necessary evil with towers. First and foremost, Happy New Year, everybody. So kudos to the two counselors that first mentioned a new location. Because yes, it may be a necessity, but there certainly are documented risks involved. And again, I'm not sure about the forest idea. I'd have to look into that, but the transfer station is a pretty central location, if it could be considered. There's one thing that I heard that I just wanted to bring to your attention. Not only is the admittance of the frequency an issue, receiving it is a big problem in this town. Down in the beach, no matter what carrier you have, there's almost no coverage whatsoever at all. Certain areas of Bradford, same thing. So I know it was brought up, oh, well, we're not thinking about cell towers, so you can rest easy. But I think the location should also consider improving the cell quality as well, because people in an emergency need to receive the message as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes the people that have signed up. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, please come forward with and state your name and address. This is to speak on any agenda item.
Bob Madison, Dunn's Corners, and 139 South Woody Hill Road. 185-foot tower, distance visible to the horizon, straight line communication is about 17 miles. If you have another tower of an equal height somewhere in the state, the range is 36 miles, and that gets us to the geographical center of the state. But the engineers pointed out that the problem seems to be coastal, and we have a shadow caused by the moraine in radio transmission. So either the tower in town has to be so tall that it can see over it, or the Tolkien solution is you need two towers. You need two smaller towers, and one of them has to be on the moraine to cover that entire beach area. And then whatever you have inland to maintain your connection to Hopkinton could easily be somewhere like Mount Moriah or Big Hill, or even the Woody Hill Ridge that comes down from Bradford to Dunn's Corners. So this is a case where this would be a better thing in my backyard, because we have forested area, we have high levels, but also I think you're looking at something somewhere near the location of the tank on Tank Road to cover that beach, and that seems to be the main necessity here. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Please state your name and address.
Joy Cordio, 36 Tower Street. I will not be able to see the monstrosity from my house directly, but it will be there. I heard a couple things already that are very encouraging. Number one, Mr. Pappas said that he can't do anything without your approval. So everybody here, these are the people to talk to. So I'm going to read to you a little bit from the comprehensive plan. And I want you to keep in mind that that document is what gave the town the authority to deny a comprehensive permit for 2,300 housing units. It has a lot of weight and it brings a lot of obligation. And that's your guidebook. The beginning of the comprehensive plan, vision and goals, section 1.3. The town of Westerly must preserve the unique character and importance of each constituent neighborhood and evaluate opportunities for redevelopment and revitalization in each. The adoption of this plan commits to a coordinated and inspirational vision for the future of Westerly. Its success will be evident in its committed use by elected and appointed officials, appointed members of public bodies, municipal staff, residents, businesses, public-private partnerships, and nonprofit organizations. Elected officials will use this plan to align their priorities with the community's vision for the future as described in this plan, and should use this information in adopting local codes and ordinances that support the plan's goals. This plan provides background information and leverage for elected officials to fulfill their legislative duties. Local boards and commissions will assess the desirability of development applications by their conformity to this plan. Consistency with this plan is not a discretionary matter. State law mandates that a municipality achieve consistency between all local development regulations, including its land development and subdivision regulations, comprehensive plan, capital improvement program, and zoning ordinance. The standard by which a land use or town action is evaluated is not merely general consistency with the comprehensive plan. To find consistency, all local land use regulations and all subsequent actions must be in basic harmony with the priorities and purpose of the comprehensive plan expressed in the vision and values articulated in section 1.3. Section 2.7, maintaining the character of Westerly is important to the future of this special place. The combination of features and characteristics of various neighborhoods make Westerly unique from other towns. Section 2.8, Westerly will remain a unique and special place, retaining its distinctive neighborhoods, history, tradition, and natural beauty. Section 3.7, this is my appeal to all of you. Preserving the character of the community and on a smaller scale, each of its neighborhoods is a key element of the town's vision. Action on the vision includes improved opportunities for the public to voice their values, ideas, and concerns on the topics of housing, recreation, services, business, infrastructure, and transportation. You just heard concerns from just a few neighbors. It was encouraging to us to hear some of your questions, to hear some of you say, that's not the site, look for an alternative one. And that's what I believe everybody here would like to see tonight, is a directive to the town manager to find a list of alternative sites. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Please come to the mic.
Milo Willits, 5 Yarmouth Drive, Westerly. If I were to apply to the state of Rhode Island to do anything, they would want a site map of where I am. These applicants haven't done so. That's a little troubling. I think the residents in any area they target ought to have a map published publicly so as to alert the residents just what's going on or what is being targeted. But we were asked to do a spot rezone in a residential area to place an offensively high tower in order to improve communications with the town. Most people up here are automatically accepting that we need it. But as Mr. Tarbox pointed out, we haven't heard specific examples. Change the names if you want to, but we haven't heard specific examples of where these dropped areas or gaps have harmed anyone or come close to it. And I think our town manager could probably come up with some, and I would encourage him to do so, because I think we ought to step back to first principles. Do we really need this? And assuming that is established, then it's a matter of where do you put it? Do you spot rezone and just shove it into a residential area? Or do you look at the alternatives, which commendably several of you have asked us to do? And so I would ask you just to step back a couple of steps. Do we need it? And are there alternatives to the technology? And are there alternatives to a location if the only solution has to be an offensively high 187-foot tall tower? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to this point? You spoke already. Any new comments? Certainly.
How you doing, Carlos? Going on 35 Tower Street. This whole thing kind of seems like it's I'm not sure if they it is pulled it out of nowhere, or they've been talking to the town about where stuff's going, because you know, they're saying like how many all these months here. like the other gentleman is saying, like we have no technical information about all these areas, right? Like, you know, like there's circles, you know, if it, too close to Charlestown, too close to Connecticut. It seems like we need more like educate, like technical information of where the possibilities are. I know like different places, but I'm saying, but actual like they're saying like heights, distances, they just, who gave them Tower Street? You know what I'm saying? Just pull it out of the air. They drive around town trying to figure this out. It seems kind of weird that it just came about and you guys don't know anything about it. The town doesn't know anything about it, right? Do you guys have any answers?
I think just direct everything
Sorry.
to the chair and
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't seem right how this whole thing's coming about.
understand.
I don't approve them putting on Tower Street at all. I said, maybe not even the rest of the town, somewhere else, maybe they get different options, different heights, different sizes, different, you don't want to ruin other parts of town. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that input. Anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bill Quirk. I live at 325 Shore Road. I was very surprised to see that announcement so close to Christmas, and it was buried in the paper. I don't know. I haven't really heard any positives for this tower in that location, and I would just maybe, I don't know, the town council could possibly quash this tonight so more of us don't have to come again to speak against it, because the location's completely inappropriate. The manner it was delivered to the town was inappropriate. To you, it was inappropriate. And I think it kind of forces the state to look more seriously at other locations in a more timely manner, because time's the most precious thing we have. And we don't want to come again another night to protest that 200-foot tower near houses. So thank you.
Thank you. Just real quick, this isn't on the agenda for any action or any, we have fact finding as a town council and suggestions have been made. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Rosa Caracciolo. I live at 17 Thompson Avenue, which is off of Tower Street. I wasn't really prepared to talk, but everything has been said that I really had thought of. But I just want to say, I don't even have a microwave in my home. And now you're going to put it right by our children. Some research suggests that children's cumulative brain exposure from towers might exceed from that typical cell phone use, which is within vicinity, but the 24/7 signals that I would have, that would be exposed to in the low amount, but it would be cumulative, would cause a lot of harm. And I am one of those people that listens to functional medicine, and we are going in the wrong direction with this. And I know it's a different topic, but there's already a lot of thyroid cancer in that area, and none of this can ever be proven, but there's a lot of that from the quarries as well, but now we're going to add more to it. And that's my concern, and everything else that was already spoken of tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak in the audience? Okay, seeing none, this section will have the council's response.
Mr. President,
Council Aiello,
make a motion to move to items 8A through D, new business. I need to leave here by 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest. I wanted to be sure to hear the citizens.
I'll second it, Bill.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. Just very quickly, the councilors can respond later, but I think you've heard, the public's heard what the councilors are looking for. So having a response different from that would, you're welcome to stay and wait for this agenda items to come through, but
And it should be ready very quick.
the council is has also already spoken on many of these. All in favor of Council Aiello's motion to move forward?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are now one opposed. Council Shalaber is opposed. Moving on, 5A, approval of minutes, regular minutes of 12/15/20.
8A.
Oh, okay. What was the motion again?
He wants to do the new business and then adjourn the meeting for himself, not for everybody. But Bill would like to be here for the actual business here. Today, I think he said 8A through 8D, correct, Bill? All of 8.
It was all of 8,
Yeah,
A
could
through
you
D.
restate your motion for the record?
It was to move to items 8A through 8D, new business.
Motion on the table, well, it's already been voted on. Nobody knew what it was voting on, but I didn't know it was 5. All right, we're on 8, item new business. We're suspending town council rules of procedure, Rule 9D. Council operations to discuss and consider the following items, 8A, 8B, 8C, and 8D. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Healy. All in favor?
Aye.
Council rules are now suspended. New business 8A, resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract with Romtech for the purchase of a restroom structure. $164,034. Discussion and possible action. Town manager, would you go through this?
Yeah, so this is part of the Bradford School project. The rest of it is going out to bid, probably early spring, meaning the site work, excavation and all that. We're trying to get a jump on it with a consultant to get these 2 items ordered. Actually, it's A and B. It's just, they're both similar. The A is the restroom. It's an actual pre-built restroom facility that gets dropped on site. And the second one is the playground equipment, because there's lead times on both of these, and we're trying to lock into 2025 pricing as a result of a 20% increase for 26, which they're holding it until I could get it before council. This is money that is already budgeted. This is in phase one of the Bradford School recreation complex. It's already been.
Thank
yeah,
you for that explanation.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded by Council Vandover, to approve. Any discussion? Discussion? Council Shalaba?
Yeah, I don't see anywhere on these things that we're looking to make the structures and ADA compliant. There's nothing in writing about it, and I want it in writing.
You want an explanation or we have to?
No, I know.
I know we have, it has to be ADA compliant.
But, you know,
Yeah.
like to see it in
Yeah.
writing to make sure it's there.
Beyond that, this site design plans would have to be,
It's all ADA compliant.
the
I assume,
ADA access route
Right,
would have to
right.
be.
it's all designed as ADA compliant. And same, actually, the entire playground system is all ADA compliant.
But why aren't they writing that down in the contract?
Because it's part of the restrictions with the funding we're using. You have to have things ADA compliant when you're developing this. So the whole design of the project, everything is ADA compliant. So again, I'm assuming because it's all designed ADA, it's not mentioned in the contract that it meets the ADA conditions, but it meets the conditions outlined by the consultant, which is ADA compliant on both systems.
Point well taken. Any other comments?
I just wanted to address Counselor Shalabas. If you look at the pictures of the floor plan here, you'll see that they're handicap pictures showing they're handicap accessible, but they're
Understand it, and that's not the problem. It's
Okay.
just, I wanted to just, to me, there's no reason it just couldn't be added in writing to just state that, because what if something happens and they come back and they miss it by whatever? You know, then we have something to go back and say, hey, you said you were supposed to be ADA compliant and you're not.
town manager, that's on you.
The
Town
building
manager, can you
department is
add
issuing
a
the
note
permit.
to this.
Yeah. I can. I mean, the building department's be the one issuing any permitting. They're the ones doing all the inspections. And certainly we wouldn't pay an invoice until, and again, this is just locking in. We're not paying these amounts right now. We're not paying the amounts till delivery of the product. But I can, whatever, if it makes everyone happy.
Before we give them.
I just don't want to get into,
164.
they're waiting for this. If I have them rewrite the whole contract, it could be a delay. I'm not looking to delay it.
Move to vote on the
We're in
motion.
discussion, Mr.
Okay, discuss
Councilor
away.
Pizza. Any other comments? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Chair votes in favor, 6-1. Resolution passes. With a caveat that the manager's gonna enforce that it's handicap.
I'll try to get it in there. I can get it, I'll try to just get them to put it in there. It's ADA compliant. It may be something simple I can just do tomorrow morning and be fine.
They may have a letter of
It's-
they may
there's-
have a.
There's symbols on the plans that says ADA, so. Moving on, 8B, resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract with Ben Schaefer Recreation for the purchase of playground equipment and poured-in-place surfacing, $395,170.27. Discussion and possible action.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Niemeyer. Discussion. Councilor Healy?
I've been asking about this particular item since I got up here. If you're new to the audience, I worked extremely hard on this ad hoc on make sure that it's beyond ADA compliant. It's 0 to 99. You go there, you're gonna have something to do. What I was presented with does not, this one, and I can understand where Councilor Shalaba would be coming from. This one has no indication of ADA. I was told we would see a 3D rendering. I've asked to go to meetings. I've asked to be put on email chains. I've asked for updates on emails or publicly from here, and I'm not getting them. So I want this project so bad. My kid asks about it all the time, and he doesn't understand why it's taking so long, to be 10. But I don't know what we're voting on. I don't know. I mean, I understand what a pour in place looks like, and I'm very much in favor of that, but I don't know what equipment we're gonna buy. None of us know what the equipment looks like or anything at this point. So I fully hear the urgency on getting this good rate. With it being $400,000 though, I find it really hard to be able to vote on something that I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Mr. Manager, is there a plan that is
There-
corresponding to this?
This was part of the original plan that was presented on the overall project. The playground equipment, the whole playground setup was in there. In the original plan that came before them. There's places where wheelchairs can go up and play with things. It's a whole structure. It's the whole rubber, which you said poured in place, the floor and so forth. It's the exact design that was presented to you back when they presented the final phase 1 draft of it.
May I?
Please.
Yep.
When they presented that though, they said that it wasn't the final and that they were going to be sending us actually what we were getting, because I talked about what provider, what vendor they would be going through. And I asked all these questions back then. And as you know, right up until our last meeting, I asked about this. I had no idea this was going to be on the agenda. I would have, as always, continued to, I wanted to be at those meetings. I want to know. I want to be able to tell my neighbors, oh, you guys are voting on Bradford. Oh my goodness, thank you. What's it going to look like? What's it going to be? Because all of the ideas that the ad hoc came up with, once the ad hoc was disbanded, all of those ideas were just suddenly gone. All of the work was gone. It just changed. And we came in and we had 3 different things that we could, the public could put Post-it notes on, and we never even knew what the ending of that was. And does this include the workout equipment that's going all the way around? I'm disappointed.
If I could get clarification, has the beta plans, the plans of the facility, have they been approved by DEM?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Mhm.
And they've
Yep.
gone to the planning
They're
board?
designing the septic system now for the bath facility. They're in the process of that now.
That's underground. We don't care about that.
And, but there is a septic system they're designing. So
Has the planning board seen
they saw the overall proposal, yes, they did, the overall
the
proposal.
master plan?
Mhm.
I
The
believe.
only thing I suggest is I can take the schematics from the playground and email them to everyone if there's an issue. I mean, there's no issue swapping. I want the pink slide as opposed to the yellow slide. I mean,
Can we do that in 2 weeks? Is that something that's time critical?
this one is more time restricted than the bathroom.
If we approved it at our next meeting, would that be?
It could be problematic. It's I think they're 28% increase. The bathroom was 20%. So
I don't, say that again. I
I
didn't hear.
said this one is more of an increase from 25 to 26 in the
Okay.
bath. The bath was 20%. I'm almost positive this one was 28%.
Well, if I may
Please.
interject,
Councilor Peter.
we don't know exactly what playground equipment is. That what's the problem is here? Just go ahead.
I don't know what any of it looks like. It's
Uh,
$400,000 for what?
I trust that they picked out some nice swing sets or whatever. I mean, I'm not
don't.
no, you don't? Okay.
No, the entire town is a cookie cutter playground. We have the same company for all of it. And then Dunn's Corners and State Street just got newer stuff. And the plan was this was supposed to be a state-of-the-art location competing with Ninigret and their ADA location. This is supposed to be somewhere where people are coming here to use this facility. And I mean, after, you know, all of the things that ad hoc went through. You sat right there when
I didn't sit right
there.
there, but I do remember a lot of
And,
times, yes.
So it's just very hard. I know money was just talked about. If it's the way that the money has to be spent on specific things, it has to be ADA. But to
I'm
my
gonna-
knowledge, we don't have any grants.
I'm
It's
gonna-
all been taxpayer money.
I'm gonna trust it is ADA, and I'm trusting there's no whirly birds or whatever we grew up with. So, but I'm assuming that we've got decent playground equipment there, right? Has anyone seen a picture of the playground equipment? I'm assuming it's fine. Bill?
I'm gonna, just to pause, I'm gonna print a picture right now and I'll pass it around.
Okay, there you go. A
That's-
pic-
If you want to
perfect.
continue to C for a minute, and if Bill wants to be here for A through D, then
Yeah,
go on to C and we'll get any pictures right now.
yeah, and just to help clarify, I've been out of the loop for a little while, but we're presented, I forget exactly when, but we're all presented with the final plan now. At the, generally at the in-house meetings, it's the town manager, assistant town manager. You have the town engineer, you have the town planner, you have the recreation department, and plus Beta, and probably one or two others. No, it wasn't always me, please. So we're working on all of that, and they were keeping the focus on universal accessibility, usability, not just the minimum ADA requirements, but you wanted it to be really usable. So there's a whole group involved, and I don't think, other than, picking out the colors or, do we use this swing or this swing? I mean, the in-house folks and Beta, they've done other areas and they've spoken, people have spoken with, and the director of recreation has spoken with other communities. And I think, the manager can pick it up, but it just, I think
The
they've been.
the
I think they've been
recreation
keeping
director was
focused.
directly involved in every piece of equipment, the layout, and everything. The recreation department was involved in that.
And the whole, and the plan is what we were presented with.
It's the same plan.
The same
That's
thing,
correct.
okay.
And it does go beyond the base ADA, because there is actually specific equipment for wheelchairs, if they were to use the equipment and so forth.
Right.
But I will get a picture. You want to move on?
So the council hasn't had that same benefit of working with the department heads, the manager, with some of the point people on the council. So I think we need to be brought up to speed on this before we spend 400,000.
Just to interject one more time, I'm sorry. I would pass this right now, but I hear what Councilor Healy's concerns are. Is there any way we can get a picture so that some of the councilors who would like to at least see it could see it before we vote tonight, Sean? Or is this something we don't have to wait 2 weeks for a picture, do we?
I just said I'm printing a picture now.
Oh, right, to everybody right now. Okay, that sounds good to me. Let's take a look.
If I may, Mr. President, I hear what Counselor Healy's saying. I'd like a visual as well. We're not 100% sure of exactly what's happening, but we also should try to secure this somehow. And then I don't know what which way to go with this. I mean, as far as, getting the picture, taking a look at it now, if we can do that tonight, maybe a little later in the meeting. I don't know if that'll satisfy the issue.
The company has insured me, if all we're doing is locking into the price point. If we decide to change a color or a piece of equipment, they will do it up until the date of manufacturing, which is until May.
Councilor Shalaba?
I will get you a picture. I mean, you're better off seeing it. I mean, I get it.
The problem is, not all of us have been involved in this 100% to see all this. And it's a little disheartening to hear that somebody that was on the committee that worked on this very hard has not gotten even updates and know what's going on. So I think that we're rushing something for $400,000 that we that we don't have all the pieces in play yet. I understand time is of the essence, but I think it needs to wait. And if we have to do a special meeting, we do a special meeting.
I'd be amenable to a special meeting as well. I haven't been apprised of any of this. I haven't been at any of the meetings.
We want a special meeting to look at playground equipment? Are we
If we
serious?
have to, well, I'd rather wait for 2 weeks.
That's all we're gonna do. Okay, you guys.
She's printing the picture right now and it should clarify things.
Let's pass it around and look at it. We'll look at the swing sets and we'll vote. What do we want to, come on. Do we have the picture, Mary? Can we see it?
If we did,
Counselor Healy?
We're printing a picture right now. You'll have it in a minute.
Wonderful. Okay, I'd say we hang out a minute, go get a Coke and we'll look at the pictures. Is that good with everybody?
Can I just state for the record, it's a little backhanded compliment. It has nothing to do with the color or the style of a swing. I think that's really diminishing my words and the work that was done. Has nothing to do with that. Although one of the biggest themes was actually going to be about our seal and all of the fish and everything. So, it does mean something to be able to see these. And that's why I've been asking for them. So please, it is a lot more than just a yellow or a pink slide. That's really not what it's coming down to. It's hours and hours of work and volunteer work and town resources and allocating a huge amount of the budget last budget season. Like, I don't think I'm asking too much. I just needed to say that is certainly not about a color.
Okay. Do you have a motion to continue this until later in the agenda?
I just, well, I'll withdraw it for now until we get the picture, then I'll make the motion again.
Sure.
Once we get, or is she coming now?
And I don't know who seconded Bill's motion, but somebody withdraw it.
Now we'll move on to 8C and D and then we'll come back to this. Hopefully we'll have the picture.
I'll withdraw my
So
second.
we're
Right, Counsel.
all in favor of delaying 8B.
No, I'm not saying delaying it. We just,
What are you saying?
we just withdrew the motion. There's no vote needed. I'm going to re-motion after we do C and D and we get the picture from Melissa.
I don't know procedurally how, we're in discussion and possible action. You,
Withdrew the motion.
Counselor withdrew the motion to approve. Motion's been withdrawn. Is there a withdrawal a second?
Mike
Mike
did.
Mike
He withdrew
Niemeyer,
it.
Counselor Niemeyer.
Motion to move to agenda item 8C.
You don't need a motion to do it. Just
Okay.
go to it. I already stipulated that I'm going to make the motion after C and D are done.
Okay. Moving on to item C, 8C, proposed ordinance, an ordinance and amendment of Article 1, door-to-door sales, Chapter 202 of the Westerly Code of Ordinances entitled Retail Sales. Order advertised for public hearing on 1/26/26.
Mr. President, I don't
Motion to
mean to interrupt council discussion, but if I could make a few initial remarks, it might actually expedite the process.
Please.
Thank you. So our current ordinance is regarding door-to-door sales is non-compliant with the First Amendment rights. And this has been called to our attention by national vendors who do this kind of business all over the country and all over the state of Rhode Island. This ordinance will make us First Amendment compliant. So that's the reason why this is being brought to your attention, to avoid, frankly, some litigation from national vendors who do door-to-door sales. And as I've sort of identified, our ordinance was brought to my attention through correspondence that came to the town manager. I can assure the council that this ordinance is First Amendment compliant. A couple of things that I'd like to bring your attention to that I realize may have caused some ambiguity is that there is a general penalty clause in section 202.11 for $500 for violations of any section of the ordinance, while there is also a specific, an additional violation for certain additional conduct. And that's included in 202-7. 202A involves activity which is specific, that if a resident has a no solicitation sign on their door and is violated, it's an additional 200 violation over and above the general violation for violating the, any term, any provision of the ordinance. Likewise, 202-7, is an additional violation if the door-to-door person gains access to the threshold and then is told, buddy, get out of my house, and they don't get out of the house right away, there's an additional violation. I realize, and I look at it, that may create an ambiguity on what the violations are. I defer to the council. If you want to make it all just one straight $500 violation, that's fine. Also, I would indicate that the definition for this kind of solicitation is one that has been universally accepted by courts that have engaged in a First Amendment analysis of this activity. The permitting procedures are, frankly, we didn't invent these. These are really standard and workable permit in most cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. So you don't need to invent anything. You're taking something that already works. The issuance of the permit, the photo ID, the ID requires a photograph and very specific identification that must be easily displayed. It limits the hours to 9 a.m. to 7. Didn't make those up arbitrarily. Those are hours that courts have reviewed and found sufficient to allow commercial First Amendment activity to take place in the community. I just covered restrictions on solicitation. There's also, if there's a violation, in addition to violations for fines, it can go back to the licensing board for revocation of the permit where there's a violation. I also included, and I defer to the council, you'll see a little note there. If the council wishes the town to maintain a no solicitation list, it provides for a process where any citizen can call in, or email in, right into the clerk's office and say, I'm John Smith, this address, I want to be on the no solicitation list, so that whenever a permit is issued, the vendor automatically gets the no solicitation list. So I've added that as well, if that's something that you want to include in the ordinance. That's the explanation for it. That's why you have it before you. And that's where the context and the information and procedures came from.
That last aspect of the no solicitation list, it's not advertised as a new text. So does that mean it exists already?
No, that would be, that was something that was deferring to the council on. That's why it's set up that way. So if you want to include it. When it goes to hearing, it'll be in it.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Dr. Vandover.
Hi, I was just wondering on the 202-5, the photograph required, who's paying for that? Because I would like to make sure the vendor will be paying. It doesn't, I didn't see it say that in here, maybe.
No, we're not going to give it to them, so they better.
Right, well, that's what I figure, but you know how people are today. Oh, you didn't say that, I have to pay for it.
We're not paying for it. The company either provides.
Okay,
their
we're
voice
not
with
doing
that
it.
ID, or they don't get to solicit.
Okay, so we're not doing it, and we're not making them here.
Absolutely right.
Fantastic. Okay, my other question was on the hours of solicitation. I think that's 9 a.m. is a little too early and 7 p.m. is a little too late. Can we change that too, or is
Well,
that?
we can experiment.
Yeah, I was thinking 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I mean, those are normal business hours, right?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. That's okay.
I don't, you can experiment. I can tell you that that restriction on hours has been approved specifically by courts that have reviewed it. 10 to 5 may be approved. I don't want to say that it won't. I don't want to say that it will.
Okay, so those would be changes that I would like to see be made. I think 10 to 5 is a normal business day for most people. I really don't want somebody coming at my door at 9 a.m. and I don't want them there at 7 after dinner. I'll be on the beach anyway, but you know.
Yeah.
And I just, is there a way to notify the public that such and such company will be knocking on doors, with all the scams and everything that's going on around today? people are very leery of even answering the door.
So, again, I don't want to say yes, I don't want to say no. This is what I'll say to you, is that, you know, this is what's called commercial speech. Commercial speech gets sort of less First Amendment protection than political speech does, for instance. The broad standard is time, place, and manner restrictions, and the court looks at them carefully. So the more restrictive you become, the more you have to defend it. Now, I'm not suggesting that a pre-filing of the routes and times would be rejected by a court. I can't guarantee you that it would be.
Maybe just put it in the newspaper or something on the front page, not the back page. Or something of that sort. Again, with all the scams going on in town, everybody's very leery.
I understand. I get an email today that
Yeah.
told me that I won $300,000. All I had to do was give my information.
Right.
But
So that's my only concern.
so what I can say to you is this, and I'm not trying to avoid your question. These are tried and true restrictions that I know courts have approved 100%.
Okay.
You can try other things, not saying you can't. That's what you're suggesting is a little more complicated. I would think we need some thought, because the more you burden it, the greater the courts are to look at it with a little bit more scrutiny.
Okay.
So, you know, when you say, okay, advertising the paper, now there's additional costs involved for the exercise of the, right? I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I don't want to promise you that if we do that and it's challenged, you're good.
And just out of curiosity, if I may address the manager, don't we give the Sun money for announcements on things that are going? Could that be included in this, or?
No, a lot of the time the announcement part is free, the Westerly Sun. If
Okay.
we have to put ads, we pay them per ad, per line.
Okay.
So we
this,
could always put it on, I mean, if we were aware of one, we can put it on our, our social media sites for the town.
Okay.
To make people aware. I mean, believe me, and from the PD side experience, when there's a solicitation going on in town, the PD gets 45 phone calls within 5 minutes, and they vet whether or not it's a legitimate solicitation.
okay. Just trying to make it easier actually for them and for our townsfolk, so that, like I said, there's so much going on out there. It's a little disturbing to have somebody knocking on your door today and you're not sure who they are and where they came from. So thank you.
It's like campaigning.
Yeah, we just don't
thank
want to
you.
be advocates for whatever this, vendor is pushing by advertising it.
No. That's not what I'm saying,
No, I
not,
know.
not to advertise it as we're pushing for them, but that they're gonna be around knocking on your door. That's it.
Just see. Let them pay for the ad. Any other questions, Councilor Healy?
This is probably going to sound, in my opinion, stupid because the name of it is door-to-door sales, but the word campaigning just came up. Does this, thank you.
That's political speech.
Yeah.
You have much greater First Amendment freedom with political speech.
So when our legislators are knocking on, that's all good, right? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
It won't affect it at all.
Okay. Any other questions, Council Pete?
Before I was gonna move to make an amendment in order to advertise. You ready for that, or you want to discuss more?
Well, I wanted to, personally, I thought we should have the no solicitation list.
I was gonna actually make that as part of the amendment. All right, this is what
There
I'll,
you go.
all right then, so I'm gonna make a motion to order this advertised with the following amendments. I would move the solicitation hours from 10 to 6. I think 7 is a little bit ridiculous. 10 to 6, I think hopefully it would fly. And I would also very much like to add the provision that Mr. Conley prepared for us about the no solicitation list. So ordering the proposed ordinance advertised for public hearing with the following amendments: 10 to 6, Mary, and the no solicitation list included.
Second.
Motion made, seconded by Councilor Niemeyer. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of ordering advertised as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordered advertised approved. Moving on to 8D, proposed ordinance. An ordinance and amendment of Article 9, regulations of Chapter 206 of the Westerly Code of Ordinances entitled Sewers. Amend Section 206-55A3, General Discharge Prohibitions. Order advertised for public hearing on 1/26/26. Mr. Manager, you want to explain more or?
Yes, so this ordinance was already advertised and voted on and approved by the council. There was a typo in the first, there was a typo in the first ordinance that went before the council. However, the ordinance that went back to DEM was correct. So DEM contacted us and said one of the limits was set at they were set at 5.0, which is a pH
Acidic.
limit, the acidic limit, and it has to be a 5.5. So these are limits, have nothing to do with us. DEM sets them, we have to adopt them into an ordinance. And because one of the limits was advertised or voted on by the council originally at a 5.0, and it should be a 5.5 is the reason for this change.
Very simple. Do I have a motion to order advertise for public hearing?
So
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor
Second.
Sciaba, second by Councilor Aiello. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance is advertised. Approved to be advertised. I guess we're still waiting for our pictures. So the pictures are still on the way, so we'll keep going.
Make a motion to go back to responding to citizens' comments, item 4.
Motion to return to section 4. Oh,
I'll second that.
There's a second?
I'll second that.
Motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
You
Okay,
forgot
this
this,
portion is citizens.
you forgot the
Oh.
discussion, Mr. President.
Oh, okay.
I'll remove my motion.
Thank you.
I'll remove my second.
Okay, we're still in new business. 8B.
This is I'm trying to get you a picture. But this is giving you every detail, every specification in. As you're flipping, just take one moment, look here. I'm seeing if Mike can put it up on the big screen on the photo.
So this delay is about seeing was promised versus what we're buying. For the Bradford Recreation Set.
And just so people know, the managers have an IT to see if they can put it up on the screen for everybody.
I don't know. I'm gonna be able to get it to you. I'm sorry.
While we're waiting, maybe we make a motion for a 5-minute recess until we get this sorted.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
You guys went for, which section? Oh, the second. When Schwartz, you know, when the Schwartz was 20 years ago, somebody that's come here all the time, that means smell. It's getting cold at one time. No. I mean, it's not capable of difference. It's. Did it really? I love it. I love it. No, I didn't see that. No. We're talking.
I gotta run again.
If I could reopen the council meeting, a 5-minute recess is, has been enough time to catch up with some of the plans and specifications.
Now make another motion to approve 8B.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Healy. Discussion?
I'll just say thank you for getting me this, for everybody that has been, listening. ADA is there. This is just a small kidney bean kind of shaped area, pour in place, so it's the squishy kind of flooring, so a wheelchair is not going to get stuck up inside, mulch pieces or anything like that. The small kids section is separated by the big kids section, with swings in between. So I am, as I seconded this, got my stamp of approval, Bill.
I would also have a comment that I think the council should put on another agenda item, not tonight, of course, but where phase 1 is specified and what phase 2 will be delayed. Just so that there's expectations met. Any other discussion? Hearing none, a motion on the table is to approve the purchase of the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain. I'm just still getting to look at all this, so I'm not going to vote on it.
Very good. 8B is approved. 6-1.
Motion to move back to the regular order of business.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And if I may, Mr. President, just make a quick personal statement. I appreciate the council doing this tonight and allowing me the opportunity to leave early. I am a full-time caregiver for someone I need to get back home to. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're back to item 4, citizens' comments, council's response. This is not a new council's response. Citizens' comments. That'll be later on in the agenda, but this is council's response to the first items for the agenda only. Does anyone like to speak? Councilor Vandover.
Thank you all for coming and speaking. I appreciate it. I do live in the neighborhood as well. I'm a hop, skip, and a jump. I walk by there every day, so I'm concerned as well. A lot of good points were made. Health threats, impact to property values is a big one for me. I believe that it would in fact impact them. I am a real estate appraiser by trade, and I do believe that to be the case. I've seen it in other circumstances with just the high-powered electrical towers and such. So, and there are regulations against those as well. The part I couldn't understand was when you drive up Granite Street, Granite Street to come up to the corner and all the renovations that have been done there that Mr. Luzzy has done. And then right behind it would be this tower. I thought that's like one of the entryways into our town. It just, nobody would see that business. They'd just see the tower. That's where the eye would go, I believe. So I do agree with you. And as far as Mr. Tarbox, the 1,000 feet radius and wanting to get the dead spots and information on all that, I'm going to certainly request that get done, because we really should have all the research and all the information that we need at our fingertips to be able to make a good informed decision. Honestly, I don't really care what they say. I don't think it belongs there. It's right smack dab in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and it really doesn't belong there. I did want to address Mr. Kirk. He said to just squash it. Unfortunately, we can't do that. We have to go through the steps to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in order to protect the people of this town. So we will be doing that. And everybody else, I'm right there with you. So thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Councilor Niemeyer.
I do want to thank everyone who came out to speak. I'll be brief. What I heard was folks understand the importance of this, but they'd really like us to take a look at another site. I heard that from basically every counselor up here and basically everyone who spoke. So congratulations, Westerly. We're starting off 2026 with a townwide consensus on something. That's fantastic.
Councilor Shalaba.
I want to thank everybody that came out to speak about this. I think we definitely have some alternatives that I think we need to look into as far as where we should go. I particularly liked what Mr. Willits had said, that, do we actually really need this tower? What are the alternatives? Is there any proof that the communications has failed over years? I think we need a little bit more detailed information before we try to find out where's the best place to put it. And actually, even though one of the spots to put it is the dump, which does sometimes seem to make sense, we have to remember too, if we're talking that we don't want it in neighborhoods, then why would we want it in a place where our employees are at, including our animals? So it's just a thought, just putting it out there. But I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's definitely something that we need to look into further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Healy.
Sorry that we weren't able to respond when everybody was here. So I hope some folks are at home listening or watching. There was 12 of you guys that came up in opposition to this, which is, for me, a beautiful thing to see everybody having their voices heard. And I agree. I agree with you guys. I don't like the location for all of the reasons listed. I do kind of want to piggyback off of Counselor Shalaba. If I don't know if there are health concerns or not. Not a doctor, not a scientist, and I haven't really seen much info either way. However, if we are saying that there are health issues, and people don't want to live next to it, well, we have a lot of workers, DPW, transfer station, animal control, SUFA. People go there with their dogs and hang out all day long, every day. So we kind of have to just like find a little bit of a balance. I know that the town forest is hard to hear. But it's not, when you're going on a trail over there, you're not going to be bumping into the trellis or anything like that. It's really far out of the way and it's the highest point. So I would like to see if that would help those kind of lower areas get, out of the shadow a little bit. And I do agree with the data. Thankfully, are probably the most documented department in the state would be our police and our EMS. So I'm sure that data is readily available for you guys. And then I did just want to touch on what Mr. Weber said. I thought I'd be the only person that felt this way, and I've made a joke about it. When we first found out about it, I was like, a cell tower, will I have service down in Avondale again? Like, am I going to, can I use my phone? So no, it's not a cell tower, but it's nice to know I'm not the only person in the town that was like, are we gonna be okay now? So anyways, thank you guys all. I think, we have the consensus of the majority of us, if not all of us, that this location is just not gonna work for you guys or us or our visitors or anything like that. So I will compile the list that I heard today and I'll send that off to the manager this evening when I get home. And then hopefully, the town can work and find some other locations, and then us seven can come back up here and bounce them off the wall and hear from you guys as well, because that's what's important. So thank you all again. I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I'll summarize as well. We had a good discussion with the emergency management group, and they're said to be well respected, working with the town manager and the EMA groups, and they expressed a shortfall in Westerly, and who are we to say that they're wrong? So it's worth working with them. So the manager suggested that we'll create a list of other alternative areas, and they'll be evaluated with their lens of, is it town-owned? What are the height requirements? And is it fiber within the vicinity? Those are the three that I had noted. So I think we should, I know that we'll all create the list, our own idea, give it to the town manager. Once that's compiled, I think the town should see what that list is, just so that everybody's on notice of what is being considered, not what's going to be built, but what is being considered. So I thank emergency management for coming to us and explaining the hiccup during the advertising process before Christmas and the pain it's caused the neighborhood. So kudos to them for doing that. That concludes citizens' response, council's response to citizens' comments. Moving now down to item 5A, approval of minutes, regular minutes of 12/15/25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and second by Councilor Healy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Special minutes of 12/15/25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and seconded by Councilor Healy. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Fiscal matters, resolution authorizing the waiver of penalty for late payments, $578.06.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion made, second by Council Healy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Payment, late payment, waived, approved. Item 2, resolution authorizing payment to the law office of Cameron and Middleman LLP litigation matters, $2,503.25. Do you have a motion to approve?
So, how do they say that? So moved? So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's easier.
Second by Councilor Shalaba. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved. Resignations and appointments. I'll turn it over to Councilor Niemeyer.
Regarding the Multicultural Committee and the seat vacated by David Madden, the Appointment Subcommittee nominates April Dinwiddie for appointment to that seat.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Regarding the Multicultural Committee and the seat vacated by David Madden, the Appointment Subcommittee nominates April Dinwiddie for that seat.
Very good. All in favor of
No, whoa.
April
Yeah.
Dinwiddie?
That's gonna, you're not gonna get away that quick on that one. Do we have a second? Or no second?
You don't need a second.
We'll go right to discussion.
Discussion?
All right, April Dinwiddie history, we're all well aware of. There was a dated term used, not intentionally, not with any ill will or malice. It was repercussions coming from the Multicultural Committee. Instead of being Christian about it, they went on the attack. I'm gonna forgive all that. We're gonna call it all water under the dam. And all things being equal, I would vote for April Dinwiddie tonight. She grew up here. She went to Wesley High. I know how she grew up because I grew up the same way. Well, she would, I don't know if she would have you believe that, but I'd like to think that we did. Here's my issue. April Dinwiddie does not spend 183 days a year in Westerly. Everybody in this room knows it. Everybody in this council knows it. Now, unfortunately, in the state of Rhode Island, not only can you be on a town committee, and at the end of the day, I don't really care if she's on a town committee or not. My issue with this is that April Dinwiddie votes in Westerly and votes as a Rhode Island resident when she clearly lives in New York City. And until we fix that, our elections will never be right. And April Dinwiddie is a perfect example. And I'm not going to vote to put, and there's nothing against April. If she lived in Westerly for 183 days a year, I'd put her on any committee she wants. But I don't believe she does. And I know that the people I'm standing up with here with know the truth as well. So if we want to ignore that, then you choose to do so.
Any other comments? I would just say she is very well qualified, especially for this committee, as she was the founding member of the committee, and she is a registered voter in Wesley, which is one of the requirements. So I'm very much in favor of Ms. Dinwiddie. Yes, Councilor Shalaba.
First off, we don't know that she doesn't live in Westerly 185 days of the year. I personally lived in Westerly and commuted to Stamford, Connecticut for 4 years by train. Okay? Just because she has a business or works in New York, I know other people that live in this town that work out of state in Connecticut and New York and still live here. Plus, for the record, I'd like to submit her voter registration information where she has been a voter and registered in Westerly since 1989, and she is not registered anywhere else.
Lie to yourself. Don't lie to the people.
Thank you, Councilor Petra, for your endorsement, other than this one issue, and I hope this clarifies that.
It does not.
Okay. All in favor of Ms. Dinwiddie?
Aye.
No.
No.
Poll vote. Councilor Vandover?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, Ms. Dinwiddie, for offering to serve. You are appointed. Next, Councilor Niemeyer.
For the remaining seat on the Multicultural Committee, the Appointment Subcommittee nominates Elaine Tamel.
Elaine Tinell. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
Fine with it.
One opposed, five in favor of Ms. Tinell.
And that is all nominations coming forward tonight.
Very good, thank you. I posted on the agenda, Town Council Liaison Appointments, which is appointed by the President, me. Councilor Niemeyer is unable to serve on the Appointments Committee, so he will be coming off, and Vice President Shalaba will be taking that spot. And for Multicultural Committee, again, Councilor Niemeyer can't fulfill that, and I will be appointing myself to the Multicultural Committee as liaison. Moving now to 6, public hearings. This was ordered advertised on 1/5 for tonight, 1/5. Was ordered advertised on 1/5/26 for this time. Proposed ordinance and amendment of Article 21, Housing Committee of Chapter 5 of the Westerly Code of Ordinances entitled Boards, Committees, and Commissions, Section 5-91, Establishment. Purpose: renaming the Permanent Housing Committee to the Westerly Housing Committee. Discussion and possible action. This was requested by Councilor Healy.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any in the public that would like to speak to the name of the Westerly Housing Committee as proposed? Seeing none. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 6A.
I'll second that.
Motion to close the public hearing?
And close the public hearing, sorry.
I'll
Motion to
second.
close the public hearing and approve the name Westerly Housing Committee, seconded by Councilor Vandover. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? New name, Westerly Housing Committee. Unfinished business, there are none. New business, we have completed. Communications and reports. Liaison reports, would anybody like to report out? Councilor Shalaba?
Two things. The first is, the library has tickets on sale right now for A Murder by the Book. It's a murder mystery. It's from 6 to 8 on January 23rd. If you go to their website, you'll see that, that's available for purchase. The second thing, just wanted to kind of say thank you to the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce and South County Tourism Council for donating their custom nutcracker to Westerly Town Hall. The town manager worked with Heather Doherty to create the representation of the town, and they also donated a bulldog nutcracker to the Westerly schools. The what is it? The Nutcracker Trail was very successful. It engaged it made both local and state news. It promoted over 80 local Westerly businesses and engaged in 82 local Westerly residents. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a successful campaign, the Nutcracker thing. Any other, Council Vandover?
EDC meeting, we're still working on a marketing plan for Westerly. So they're just beating that one up.
That's good.
They're doing a good job. They're trying to make something of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Councilor Niemeyer?
Yes, I'm happy to report that the 250th Commission is moving full steam ahead, and they are also taking on more community partners, including the Daughters of the American Revolution, who are looking to place a plaque in town honoring their ancestors, as well as the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce, both of whom will be joining them at their January 22nd meeting.
Excellent.
January 22nd. That is the next meeting of the semi-quincentennial. Yep.
Do you have an update on the drones you want to share, or wait?
Right now, the drone issue is before the school committee. I think I'll wait until they make a decision before making any announcements.
Very good. Council Healy?
Our new Westerly, that's what we're calling it, right? The Westerly Housing Committee? Okay, so the Westerly Housing Committee will meet on Thursday, January 15th. They are at 5:30 in the Board of Canvassers room or office. And I am going to be giving them an idea on where to propose some housing. I'll have it as a agenda item coming up next, but I would like us to look into the Tower Street location. And that's it.
Sounds good. Any other reports? Councilor Petrie goes to every committee report, committee meeting, but he's he's holding out. Moving down to Town Council, 11226. Is there anything on that councilors like to raise?
Give me 1 second, Chris. I might have something, Mr. President, I might have something, yeah.
Okay,
I think I like the resolution from the town of West Greenwich. If I'm looking at that right now, and basically West Greenwich has done something I've been talking about for years, and that's asking to put a little bit more back in their homegrown their planning board rather than just acquiescing to the state, and they sent a resolution to that effect. And that's something that I would like to see Westerly take a look at as well, because, I mean, we're getting bulldozed by these comprehensive permits. And I believe their exact wording, if I can find it in here, was to just give them, be able to restore the required findings for denial, and that's all. Rather than just be summarily bulldozed by the comprehensive permit, just at least give them a chance to present their required findings for denial. And I think it's a very reasonable request, and I think a lot of towns in South County should do the same thing. Anywhere that's really not on the Situate Reservoir would be smart to follow suit. And I'm not sure if that was the reason they did it, but I liked it. And I mean, if I thought I'd have a little bit of support, I would bring it to our council for a vote to do the same thing. And maybe it's something we could address at on the next meeting, or one, if you guys could all take a look at it. And if it's something that you're behind, I wouldn't mind seeing Westerly make the same resolution.
Can I piggyback on that?
sure.
Also in that, resolution, it says that, to enact a law providing that for purposes of calculating a municipality's progress towards the 10% affordable housing goal, affordable units shall be counted at the issuance of a building permit. As of right now, we're not doing that. So we really don't even know where we're at with this 10% state requirement. And I think that that's important for our town, especially because of the fact of our utilities, our septic, our water. We need to know, I believe, what is on the table already, what's coming down the pipeline, and have it counted, just like the Habitat for Humanity. They're not counted in our totals as of now. And I think that that's misgiving and misguiding. And I think that that should also be, I would push for something like that as well. And it has my support. Thank you.
Thank you. We're not here to debate. We're here to just raise issues for future agenda items. Yes, you did. Anything else on the Town Council 11226? Next is the Town Manager 11226.
I'll just go through quickly what I have on it. So it's the schedule of the town holidays, which obviously we schedule for upcoming 26, we schedule the council meetings around them, which is the case this month, which is why because next Monday is a holiday. There's a letter from the food bank for donation, and there's a legislative priority report from the city, and this is from the state side. given us their priorities as they're moving forward. So I think it's important you take a look at it and just peruse it so you know what's coming down if you haven't. Then it's an objection letter, the original one I received, I put on the manager report, and then there's the department head monthly reports that are on there, so.
Council Shalaba?
I just want to bring to your attention, Sean, I know that the 250th committee is having a meeting tomorrow with the school committee, and their meeting last week, I believe it was, and also in the newspaper, they've told the school committee different things than they told the council, including where they're going to set off the drones and the fact that they're now looking at including 68 drones possibly for pyrotechnics. So, I'm not sure why both the school committee and the town council are getting different reports, whether, between media and in person. So I wanted you to be aware of that, to please stay in touch with both Bill Nardone and, Mark Garceau on this, because I think, it's very important for us to really know what is actually going on.
Okay, I can address some of that. So I've talked to members of the committee, and I've also been in touch with Bill Nardone and Marco. So the drone, one of the questions that came up, if they're doing it over the field, the turf field, the football field, could potentially any outflow cause any damage? They're not. The drone show is potentially going over the quad, which is grass. The pyrotechnics, I asked the question as soon as I heard of the pyrotechnics. They're inside. It's just part of the drone show. There's no outflow from them. They're inside pyrotechnics. There's no outflow at all from them. And we are evaluating now the insurance from the drone company. I sent to our insurer to make sure we had coverage to cover, was adequate coverage to cover the drone company against the town policies on town property. So I am in touch with them. I don't know the final, whatever the decision they came up with for the show. But again, when it gets to a contract point, to sign a contract, it's coming back before all of you.
Thank you.
Council Niemeyer?
Yes, I saw a really exciting grant applications going out the door for the EPA community grant application applying for the funding for the wastewater treatment facility. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? That's a really exciting one.
No, so
No,
this
this
is for
is
the
the
Potter Hill Mill, right?
This is the EPA. Sorry, it's the first one. The Potter Hill Mills
Well,
brownfield.
the EPA one is the one we've already been granted. That's a $2 million grant we were awarded well over a year ago. So that's to equipment to the wastewater treatment facility. So it brings our $85 million tab down to $83 million.
Brilliant.
But it
Great.
is, we were already awarded it, and the funding is in place. It hasn't, it's for equipment, and we're working around that now. But we were awarded that about a year ago. The other brownfield one is for the Potter Hill Mill. We applied. Brownfield's one for the cleanup of the site.
So this new application that's going out at the top of the list is sort of a perfunctory thing, not really a new application.
It's not.
Okay.
No.
So along with the Potter Hill Mill grant, that's to do an environmental site assessment,
That's site assessment, nothing to do with the dam. That's the property.
not the buildings?
It's the building site assessment for the buildings. That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's the entire property. It can be used towards that, yeah. It's probably, it's a study to find out the material on the site, what has to be removed, what, the typical is the first step we do on a lot of these remediation sites. So
So
I
the
don't think it's
land-
anticipated there's much there just because of what they manufactured, but, so.
Okay, thank you. Council Vandover.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Mr. Manager and our assessor Patty Howell. I did get in a meeting with them regarding my concerns, or just to get some information actually on exactly how the process works for the appeal for real estate property taxes. Myself and Counselor LaPetra were there, and she was gracious enough to walk us through the steps, and I'm happy to report that, everything looks great. I mean, it's right where it should be. They're doing their due diligence. And it was enlightening in a lot of ways. And I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to make it clear so that when I'm asked, I can certainly go from there with other people. But thank you for that.
Council Healy.
I just want to bounce off the holiday list that you posted. I had gotten some people asking about this meeting. So I just wanted everybody to know that our newest agenda, I'm sorry, our newest calendar for the council is posted. I'm gonna spitfire real quick, but westerlyri.gov, click on agenda and minutes. First one is council agenda and videos, and it is right there, 2026 calendar for town council. If anybody wants, I do have a copy and I am happy to forward it across to whoever.
Very good. Any other comments or on the manager's report? Moving on to town solicitor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The council, I think, has received copies of an inquiry that Councilor Vandover sent to the law department Friday night or over the weekend as a consequence of my advising the council on January 9 that we received notice from the Superior Court Clerk's office that Judge Rispallo was going to issue decisions on pending motions on January 22. I don't know if the council's had an opportunity to, I did respond to it this morning. I don't know if all the members have had the opportunity to see that, but I would invite you to review that response. If you have any specific questions, please just follow up with me. Also, I do think that what that indicates is that there may be a need to, if I may, maybe a need to spend just a moment this evening sort of clarifying the relationship of the various litigation matters that are pending. They're in, there are multiple forums, multiple cases. So if I may have just a moment to do that. So as I said a moment ago, on January 9, last week, my office received notice from the Superior Clerk's office that Judge Rispallo will render a bench decision in 2 matters pertaining to the town of Westerly. That's not a hearing. We've had all our motions, hearings on those. He's just advised us that he will issue a decision that day. What that means is, frankly, we go to court. We sit there, we listen to what the judge decides. Judge Rispallo is a very thoughtful jurist. It's simply not going to be a bench decision where he says Westerly prevails or the Weequahic Fire District prevails. Judge Rispallo gives a very detailed oral decision. It's on a transcript that will provide us with the analysis and reasoning in support of his decisions. So that's what will happen that day. Now, those bench decisions scheduled for January 22 are in regard to 2 pending cases with the Weequahic Fire District. The first is the Weequahic Fire District versus the town of Westerly. That's a 2025-0118. I'll refer to that, if I may, as the Sand Trail case, the currently pending Sand Trail case. The 3rd time the Weequahic Fire District has sued us about the Sand Trail. You'll recall that the first attempt to undermine the council's request to have the CRMC act on the Sand Trail was that they filed a motion to adjudge us in contempt in Superior Court. We had that hearing. We won. We were not found in contempt. The second attempt was a 2023 case that has been dismissed. This is their 3rd effort regard to the Sand Trail. Also, the other case the judge will be issuing a decision on is the Weequahic Fire District versus the town of Westerly. That's a 2025-0117 case. I'll refer to that, if I may, as the Spring Avenue case. Now, both of those cases were filed by the Fire District in late February of 25 in Washington County Superior Court. And the town received notice of those filings in March of 25. Now, the 2025 complaints were similar to, but not identical to the complaints the Fire District filed in 2023 in private Superior Court, which we were successful in getting dismissed. And those cases were dismissed in February 27th of 2025. Now, the Fire District has made similar claims in both the Spring Avenue and the Sand Trail case. though the Spring Avenue claims were made against additional parties as well, because there are slightly different underlying facts, obviously, in regard to those two cases. Now, in the Spring Avenue case, the fire district has sued the town, also sued the Rhode Island Attorney General's office and the Coastal Resources Management Council, and an abutting property owner, the Spray Rock Trust. Now, they're included along the list of defendants basically for notice purposes. They're really not, they really haven't been involved in the litigation of the cases. It kind of gives them notice that this case is going on. Now, in the Spring Avenue case, the fire district has brought several claims. The first is what's called a quiet title claim, seeking a declaration from the court that the fire district owns that Spring Avenue extension. The second is a claim against all defendants for declaratory judgment seeking to close the CRMC file, meaning that it's a reassertion of the claim that we had no right to go to the CRMC and ask the CRMC to make a determination that it's a public right of way, that the Rhode Island Attorney General as an intervener before the CRMC has no right to be there, and finally, that the CRMC has no right to hear our request. And as you know, we're well advanced in that hearing, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So these proceedings are going, on simultaneous tracks. And so I can understand why they might be conflated when they are discussed. But the effort that I just described to you, that specific count, that effort is about trying to stop that CRMC case from going forward any further. The fire district also brought that claim against a separate declaratory judgment claim against the CRMC, essentially arguing that by, excuse me, by holding the hearing in the manner that it has regarding Spring Avenue, that it's violated its own procedures, it's violated fair process, and that they have no authority to continue going forward. So there's two pieces of that declaratory judgment, one saying we have no right to ask them to be there, and the other saying CRMC has no right to hold a hearing. Another count of slander of title was brought against the town. Essentially, they're saying that we have slandered their title because of our request to have the CRMC engage in that process, and other things we've done, quite frankly, in regard to asserting our rights and asserting the rights of the public over Spring Avenue. And finally, there's a count of abusive process against the town for doing all of those things. We have filed that motion to dismiss, as I just said a moment ago. Those arguments were heard earlier this year on July 8th and July 10th. When those arguments were heard, the judge said he would let us know when he's going to render a decision. That's what we got notice from the clerk's office from on January 9th. We're going to go into court on the 27th to hear that decision. Now, just for the sake of understanding what's going on in that forum, we have primarily argued that the CRMC, in fact, does have authority to designate those rights of ways, and that the court has no jurisdiction whatsoever to order that administrative agency to halt its review, and frankly, at this point, cannot review administrative matters outside of a CRMC appeal. There's a formal process under the Administrative Procedures Act where it can get to Superior Court. This is an attempt to short circuit that. We're suggesting to the court, and we think it's a very meritorious argument, that the court has no jurisdiction to do that. We'll find out what the judge thinks in a couple of weeks. The town also has argued that the relief sought by the fire district would violate the separation of powers doctrine, and that the Westerly Fire District failed to follow proper procedures to request a court to compel an administrative agency to act. There's a couple of very important points in that kind of simple sentence, is that a few years ago when the CRMC was created, our Rhode Island Supreme Court reviewed whether or not CRMC could, in fact, have the powers and authority under the Rhode Island Constitution that it does. And our Supreme Court determined that, yes, it could have those powers and authority, and in fact, courts couldn't interfere with that power and authority. It's a separation of powers argument. You know, essentially, it's a constitutional construct. We think that the specifically being asked for by the fire district violates that separation of powers doctrine. In addition to that, there's a specific process that is required when any entity wants to demand that a government entity act in a certain way and engage in a certain practice, and it's called a writ of mandamus. Using the Declaratory Judgment Act is kind of a backdoor way of getting that, and they failed, the fire district failed to allege the proper elements that would allow a court to consider issuing a writ of mandamus. We think that's fatal. The town argued, we also argued that the quiet title action should be dismissed because the CRMC is the proper forum to consider right of way. And frankly, there's nothing around law. In fact, around law is rife with instances in which rights of ways have been declared over private property. Public rights of ways have been declared over private property. We further argued that in regard to the slander of title and the abuse of process counts, that they should be dismissed. Slander of title is a very specific kind of tort. I mean, civil legal action. So is abuse of process. Every tort that has ever survived and been developed through the common law has specific elements that have to be alleged for that specific kind of legal suit. And you have to allege facts in support of each one of those elements. It's our position, and we also think it has great merit, that the fire district failed to do that for both of those counts. There's also a piece in there about the marketable record title act. And what's interesting is that the fire district seems to have forgotten that the Marketable Record Title Act cannot extinguish states or municipal interests ever. So interesting to know. And finally, we argued that the fire district failed to include necessary and indispensable parties, such as private easement holders. And because it's seeking to stop the CRMC action, Caroline Contrada is still an intervener in that party and is not named. So they left everybody. So, you know, I know there was some commentary that apparently one of the citizens attended that hearing that we had when we argued those points and, you know, thought that didn't go well. All I can say to you about is this, is that Judge Rispallo is a very thoughtful jurist who asks very probing questions. He asked not only the town probing questions at that time, he asked the fire district probing questions. That's what happens in a courtroom. You know, nobody rolls over and says, oh, wow, that was great. I guess, you know, I guess we should decide this right away. That's not what happens in a courtroom. Now, in the Sand Trail case, the Weaker Park Fire District sued both the town and the CRMC again. Why? Because we want the CRMC to make a determination on the sand trail. That's in the queue. That hearing hasn't started yet. It's in their queue whenever they get to it. Now, they seek, meaning the fire district also seeks a declaratory judgment. They have valid title to the sand trail based on that consent judgment from 1997 that you are all familiar with. Now, they seek injunctive relief, saying, hey, you know what, court? The town has no right to be in the CRMC, and the CRMC has no right to, because this is consent judgment. Our position is the consent judgment says what it says. It doesn't stop us from going to the administrative agency that our Supreme Court has said has the jurisdiction to make that determination. That's what we want to happen. As a consequence, we filed a motion to dismiss on April 7th, and those arguments were heard on September 3rd of 2025. In those arguments, we primarily argued that, as I said, the CRMC has the authority to designate those rights of ways. As I just said a moment ago, I don't repeat everything. There's reasons why we don't believe a court can tell an administrative agency, you know, stop, don't exercise your specifically statutorily, constitutionally sanctioned powers, because that's what this fire district is asking you to do. We also argued separation of powers again for the same reason that I said a moment ago in Spring Avenue. We think it's equally applicable. We argued the writ of mandamus argument again for the same reasons. It's equally applicable. And so when we go to court, that the clerk called us about on Friday, we're going to get decisions in those two cases. Now, I understand why, because we're so actively pursuing the hearing in front of CRMC on Spring Avenue, why those might get conflated, but we were scheduled, as the council knows, to have our next hearing in front of CRMC regarding Spring Avenue. There was a notice issue, not on our part, on CRMC's part, and we're waiting for the new date on that. But as far as we're concerned, we're going ahead in front of the CRMC, full blast. We have our experts lined up that you all know about, that we've shared that expert analysis with you in executive sessions. We've talked about our strategies. In responding to Councilor Vandover's inquiry, just for the sake of completeness, I provided in there a quick, not thorough, but a quick chronology of all the dates that and information that sort of the council has received. So I hope that helps you just sort of compartmentalize it a little bit, because there's a lot there. So that's what's going on. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Councilor Shalaba?
Mr. Conley, is there any way that we can follow up with CRMC to make sure that they follow the proper procedure to get get meetings listed, so we don't have, like we just had recently, where the meeting with CRMC got canceled because they didn't file properly with the state?
So in all fairness, how many of these, they do hundreds, probably more than hundreds of these a year. They know how to do it. I don't want to be glib, but somebody didn't hit a send button. And I don't mean to be mean or glib. They know what they're doing. They do hundreds, if not thousands of these every year. I'm not making excuses for them. I understand the inconvenience of something that's important to this, but they do know what they're doing. Yeah.
Any other questions, Councilor Vandover?
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Solicitor, for going over all of that, because it was confusing and I was confused. So that's why I sent you that email, just to get some clarification.
I appreciate it. I can well understand why the cases all get conflated, why when a case kind of goes dormant, we're waiting for a judge's decision, people want to know what's going on, and it sounds silly to say, hey, you know what, there's nothing going on. But so I completely understand. I'm sure, you all get inquiries from your constituents about these cases. We know how much attention they get. So I do want to make sure that I keep you informed. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. Moving now to reports from, I'm sorry, you wanted? Town Clerk?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Item 9F, agenda referrals and backlog agenda. Councilor.
I just, quick apology. I was gonna, while I still do completely agree with the West Greenwich resolution, I was gonna refer, and I just fully read it, and I did a pretty poor job of depicting its meaning, so I'm gonna pass on that. But still agree with it for them.
I'm sorry, you don't want to do it?
No agenda referral. So I'm trying to say before Rose brings it up or something.
Okay. Councilor Healy?
I would like to add the Tower Street tennis court location to be discussed for affordable housing.
Okay.
Sorry, the Tower Street, where the tennis courts are, to get affordable housing there. If we could use that as an agenda item, please.
I was thinking communications tower there would be a pretty.
I did forget to also say that I have been working with President Duhamel on this and kind of going over a lot of the things. So that agenda item, if we could get that pushed, that would be really good.
That sounds like a good idea. Councilor Vandover.
So I have asked several times for this to get put on the agenda, and I'm going to ask for it again. I don't understand why it's not being put on the agenda for us to discuss. I want something to say that we want all of these meetings recorded. It protects all of us, them, us, everybody in between. Not sure why. I think this has been going on for months. I think I started asking for this last July when, we had our little party over here on my expense. So I'd really, really like to, it just keeps getting jumped over and I'm not really sure why.
It's with
It-
the
it's on
clerk's
the agenda.
office. They were coming up to a thing, but we can put it on for the next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great, because again, I've been asking for this since July.
I think we've tried to accommodate everyone, and I'm sorry that this has taken that long, but
It's been on the agenda referral list since October
get-
20th.
Yes, it has been on the agenda referral list. However, we've spoken about this many times, and I would really appreciate it. Again, it protects us all. Thank you.
I just want to say that we do have recorders available if anybody, any committee wants to stop by and borrow one.
okay. So we don't need a town council meeting to say, use your.
That's really not the point. The point is it should be a requirement. None of these meetings should go off without a recorder. Plain and simple.
Okay, we'll have a meeting to discuss that.
Recorded meeting.
Yeah, recorded meeting. Thank you, Councilor LaPetra. Anything else? I have, update the Bradford Playground. I don't know if that's ready the next,
No, I can send the phase 1, phase 2, an overview of the project. I'll forward to all councilors. I can put it on
Okay.
next manager's report.
invite the state legislatures to our council meeting for,
The next, Mary, is it the next meeting we usually have them, or is it the first in February?
It's usually, either January or February, whenever the
That
council,
depends when they start, right?
yeah.
They start at the state level. So we'll find out. We'll find out which one they prefer.
They start the second week of February, so when I was talking to them, they were hoping to get in prior to that. Yeah.
I'll find out. The last one I have is the Atlantic Avenue waterslide property that we just bought. I'd like to refer that to the EDC to evaluate the apartments, rental of the apartments, that is, evaluate revenue from parking and what expenses might be incurred to offset those revenues.
Why the EDC? I gotta ask.
They have that expertise in
Do they?
finances.
Finances? Oh, so they have expertise in finances? They refer, I mean, I would refer this planning board, rec board, almost I could think of, I might send it to Concerts on the Beach before the EDC. I don't know. I'm really not sure why we're sending this to the EDC. They do enough.
Yeah, the planning board would be land use, certainly approval of the parking, if that's changed, but if you remember way back when we bought the Newtown Beach, there were 2 apartments on it. We leased out the apartments to a realtor who then rented them out on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. So there's that option here. It could be more work for the town if we're not, careful with it. I think just weighing out those options and
I
it
don't,
can be discussed fully by the council during the agenda.
I agree with Councilor LaPetra. EDC, I'm not clear at all as to why you would choose them. It's not in their purview at all.
It's economic development, it's cost benefit analysis. They can come here and we can ask them questions at the next meeting.
I'd be better served if you asked me questions about it.
I'm not,
It's in-
you are certainly part of it.
I would be happy to sit up there and discuss it with you. I have no problem with that.
This is a real estate transaction and the cost involved in it. Any other agenda referrals? This isn't set, this council's gonna vote on it, so. Anything else? Okay, request of the town manager by councilors. Anybody need a better parking spot? Moving down to request of the town solicitor by councilors. Thanks, Councilor, Mr. Solicitor, for addressing that, the current court cases. Moving now, citizens' comments, this is where citizens have 5 minutes to talk about anything that's either on the agenda or off, or not tied to the agenda. Nobody.
Very cool.
9 Dixon. Okay. I'm tired of coming up here. Westerly Housing is a finishing school for old people. And every time we come here, we talk, everybody yaps, they're gonna talk, they're gonna bring people in. Alex, who's our liaison, talks about motions. Psst. We don't exist. All you do is yap about everything else and put it off. We aren't gonna live long enough to see the end of this. You're dealing with old people. It's a finishing school. The next step is the grave. We need some help. Alex can only do so much. You have to help her. What are we going to do? Any suggestions from anyone? Mr. Lacy came today.
You can certainly ask me, forward me any emails with any concerns and I can forward them. I mean, again.
You know, it's all BS. I'm so tired of all
I
these
know, but
emails.
I can forward it to the board. I can try to get you an answer to find out what the solution to, I mean, I can't promise you it's going to be the
There's no
solution.
solution. It's a good old boys club.
Well,
There's no solution. What did you come today for? To tell us about parking?
Well, there was people with parking concerns because of the snow.
Half those people don't even have cars. And it wasn't even it was a Chestnut Court. They have a huge parking lot. You know, this is all BS. We have some issues. They need to be addressed. We have board issues. We have all kinds of problems going on there that no one will address. Everything's swept under the table. One will lie, the next one will swear to it. You know, it's time for something new for the old people. You know, it was a waste of your time today that you need to come and talk about parking laws. And nobody's going to speak to you about Westerly Housing because you're not Westerly Housing, you're the town manager. You know, so what are you guys going to do to help us? Do we just have to keep coming and saying these things? People live in fear there is what you don't understand. People who live there have valid complaints. They live in fear through intimidation by the management. That should not be at our age. You know, just because we're old and in a low income bracket doesn't mean we need to be treated that way. So somebody's got to step up to the plate here and do something to help us. And I've been coming here for 2 years, and what do I get? Nothing. We get Alex, who proposes, but what happens? It falls on deaf ears. So why do we need a liaison? What good is it? Nobody's got an answer. Yeah, Sean.
Well, I have to wait till the end to answer, but just you
I'm
finish talking.
ending. I'm old. I passed my bedtime.
That's mine too.
I'm done. You want to go? You go. They're not going to do anything anyway.
Helen Clark, 9 Dixon as well. Helen Clark, 9 Dixon. Last month's board meeting, we were lucky to have Alex and Mary came, and it was absolutely atrocious. The board commissioner, we had one unruly resident, and instead of removing her, he said he was going to adjourn the meeting. I have it all recorded if anybody wants to hear it. We have documented proof with one of the board members that the executive director has lied multiple times. It's documented. I personally have documented proof that she's lied. Nothing gets done. The resident service director just recently got fired at a crucial time where all the residents needed her to help with their Medicare, their insurance, everything. Go somewhere else, they said. There's nowhere else to go. State Street, you couldn't get an appointment. They're swamped. Gary Morano has been on the board for over 30 years. We need new blood. The lady who is in charge of the Chestnut Court Tenants Association is well over 80 years old. She is in and out of the hospital, in and out of nursing home. We can never get in touch with her. And she made the decision by herself to fire the resident coordinator. Nobody knew it. We started a petition. Nothing was done. The board voted 3-1 to have her reinstated. It was left there. So we had nobody. We all had to advocate for ourselves. We would like for you to put it on the agenda, possibly to get Gary Morano in here to answer for some of these actions that are not being taken. And I know you have no jurisdiction over Lucianne, but if you could invite her to explain. But like I said, we have documented lies, so she's going to lie. And I don't know how we can get HUD down here to have her approve herself. But it's almost borders elder abuse. We have 7 cameras just on the community room itself. Pretty soon, we're going to have cameras in our bathroom to see what we use to wipe our ass. I'm sorry, but they always tell us don't use flushables. And Kevin Lowther, that was on the council last year, put it bluntly. The council is dragging their ass on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Ben Weber, 3 Blossom Court. Chair of the Harbor Management Commission, here on my own accord tonight, not as a member. I think you guys in the last 5 years, I wish it was only 2, but last 5 years have missed my motive. Respect for your elders. And trust me, it's past my bedtime too. All this rights of way stuff, what do you think I've been fighting for? Not only future generations, but for the elderly who can't get and walk miles to get to the beach, so that they're able to enjoy probably one of their only happinesses in life, to go and listen to the ocean or see a sunset. That they work so hard to be able to enjoy that in this area. That's the real motive, just in case you were ever wondering. Let me fly through a bunch of things real quick. Pardon the idiom, but with the cell tower, I say cell tower, it should be. We need to take the blinders off. If we're going to put a big tower in, we might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I don't really want to say that, but you get the point? Number 1. Number 2, I think I heard this, but is there a maximum number of commissions that you can be a liaison on? I would like to know the answer to that, because I think, Chris, I think you just volunteered yourself for 2 more. If just concerned you might not want to spread yourself out too thin. Then also the property, the beach property, the water slide. I think that was bought with taxpayers' dollars to be open space for recreation purposes. So I don't see where the EDC would be involved in that at all. Recreation Department. Hello, Harbor Management Commission. Should be another right of way to the pond since we have none. Well, one. But anyway, and lastly, litigation. All this litigation that we're in is pure, I hate to say it bluntly, it's discriminatory against the elderly. Like I said, that's what these rights of ways are for. You know, there should be designated handicap spots, van accessible spots for the handicap to go and be able to get to the ocean. That's what we've been fighting for. That's why we're trying to protect rights of ways, the only legal means to get there. And by the way, I am the citizen that attended that hearing. And so I'm speaking to you guys, you all, not saying anything negative about the solicitor. I'll say that outright. But you all, as the client, need to be advised correctly. It wasn't very favorable. Judge Rispallo did not seem too favorable to either the town solicitor or the AG. As a matter of fact, he seemed quite sympathetic about the opposing counsel, that the town's dragging them through the mud, costing them a lot of money. I think I've said this before. I actually sued an attorney once, and I think I told you I had to learn, you know, civil procedure real quick. And while I was doing that, the defense at every turn was throwing out motions to dismiss on everything. So why aren't you all advising your solicitor to try to get this dismissed outright? Wouldn't you want your solicitor to end the litigation that you're paying for as quickly as possible instead of motion for motion? The long game sometimes is not the best option. Over and done with quickly. So I highly advise you do an executive session meeting to figure out exactly what the plan is if it doesn't go well. And advise your counsel to do the best interest of all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none, council's response. Anybody like to speak? Council Vandover.
To you wonderful women, thank you for coming forward. I'm glad that you did. I actually have been asking that you would come forward. We've got to figure this out. I mean, we really need to help you. We have spoken about it, myself, Counselor Niemeyer and Counselor Healy, and regarding the HUD appointed person. I want to throw this one at the solicitor because he has the answer to what we can and cannot do regarding this such person. I would like that he would speak about it. So I'm asking that you would. Also, you should never have to live in fear. Never. There should be no retaliation. Seems to be a lot of that going on in this town in more ways than one. Schools, you guys, the whole 9 yards. It's not acceptable. We have got to figure something out. We need to have a discussion up here about this, and a very public one. And yes, I do agree that Mr. Morano, he should be invited to speak, as well as your HUD representative. I'm going to be doing a little research into HUD. This is kind of my forte, and find out what they have to say about this myself. Also, I don't have the answer to a minimum of liaison positions. I don't know. That's a Mr. President question. And as far as taxpayers paid for Atlantic Avenue, yes, we did. Harbor Management looking for a right of way on that. I think that's a better angle. I think we should go from that direction. But it should be discussed more. And thank you all for coming out. Thank you.
I didn't even know the guy used to work for the town. I think he was hired before my father. He's been in a long time. I'm gonna give all my time to Sean Lacy to address this, and he can respond to the two of you.
Thank you all for coming. I have actually spoken with the president and the town manager regarding having the board come here and give us a presentation so everybody hears what's going on, so we all know what's going on. There are some circumstances that we can't just get rid of somebody because we have to have, it's a requirement. So we have to have seats filled. So if we're looking to make changes on the board, we have to have somebody to replace those changes. I would personally, I was invited to come to the meeting for your liaison, and when I was there, it was just so upsetting to see and hear some of the things that have happened. And I would suggest if other counselors want to go to those meetings, to set up a time with the liaison so there's no quorum of counselors there and they can hear personally for themselves what's going on. But this is not, I know it's terrible to say, but it's not a quick fix, because there's steps that we have to take to make sure everything is done. Keep the records that you have. Don't destroy anything. Keep documenting everything that you have about what's not happening for you, how you're being treated. I will go to say, again, as we've talked, especially after that meeting, when you're having problems with other residents and you're not getting answers from management, call the police. Just call them. Get it documented. Don't live in fear. Okay? I know it's not quick. I know it's been going on. But if we start having more records and we start making more loud noises, and we can get the process moving the way we have to move it because of federal requirements, we'll get it done. Thank you. And Ben, I like your suggestions too. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. I'm so glad that you guys came. I was really hoping that getting Councilor Shaba with me, and then I made that agenda referral. So it is on the docket to get in the board and have them present to us and tell us what is going on, good, bad, or not. So I am hopeful that that's coming up. But it's disheartening because, as you mentioned, this has been 2 years. And I remember the first time you guys came, I was sitting kind of close to where you are. And the solution to that was to get a liaison. And so you guys got a liaison, and he's no longer on the council now. But week one, I reached out for all of his notes. I wanted to know everything so I could keep up with you guys, and I didn't have to start back at step one, but unfortunately I did. And I am very thankful for getting to know you and the other residents there, and the dog, probably one of my favorites. No, I'm just kidding. I do know that something is going to happen. I wish all of the steps were already in motion. I wish that going backwards, some of the things that are being talked about that need to get done had gotten done. But I'm sitting up here now, so it's gonna get done. And that's on record. So if it doesn't, come after me, please, and remind me that I didn't do what I said I was gonna do. But I have faith in the seven of us. If we're all on the same page now, we're all talking about it. You guys came, and that is, I tell everybody, coming here and showing up speaks volumes. Because this is how, unfortunately, this is what we need. It's not what I want to hear, but anyways, I'm going on and on. Thank you guys very much. Ben, yes to a right of way. Didn't know that we didn't have one over there. Thank you for teaching me that. And I I appreciate the motive that you brought up tonight, and I feel very aligned with that. Children and elderly families come first. They come first. They're the biggest population here. They're our most vulnerable population here, and they should be at the forefront of our minds, whether it's housing or having a coordinator there during the coldest and the holiday season. So I apologize that that happened. I hope that that can never happen again if we hopefully suggest some new ways to go about their grant system. But I have faith in that. Again, just thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Carrie and Helen, for coming forward, for telling us about this. I think this has really crystallized the issue by putting a face to it for the council. From what I've heard and been hearing, it's been untenable for far too long. And it is time that the council prioritize this. I think you have all 7 of us behind you right now. Thank you.
So I can report that around Christmas, between Councilor Healy and Councilor Shalaba, they brought this issue to our attention, and we thought some research due diligence was in order, and we would look up the requirements for the board of directors and any time limits on serving on the board of directors. And we'd also ask the manager to visit with the facility and hear out what the complaints are firsthand. So that was Christmas. Here we are, first of the year. This is a priority. I'm gonna go by what the manager has uncovered. I'm gonna go by what the solicitor gives us for advice on the board. And we'll have a public hearing. Do you want to mention anything now, Mr. Manager? Or you
Yeah,
gonna wait?
I worked with you guys for the last couple of years. I've been to meetings, I've met with you here, we have solved some of the issues. You're looking at me like my head's on back. There's not one issue that's been solved. We changed parking signs out front. I knew you had to change. I'm the one that authorized the signs to be done. What do you mean I didn't know there was? I know, but the little things turn into things and they all make a difference. So we have done things. I've addressed some things. Unfortunately, if you don't, I can't promise you the world. I mean, if you don't like something a particular way or a particular rule or how they're sending out policies, I understand that. But I can't, all I can tell you, and I've told you this from before, if you put everything down you're having a problem with, I will attempt to address it with them and try to resolve the issue to the liking of everyone. I learned in my law enforcement background, there's 3 sides to every story. Mine, yours, and somewhere in the middle is the truth, because we all have this tendency to sensationalize our own side of the story. So there were rules, I've told you right from the start, I'm not disagreeing with anything you have to say or whatever the issues you're having. But as much as, like you said, there's people in fear and there's people, well, then I get emails from people saying, I'm not in fear, I'm totally fine then. So again, I'm not disputing anything you're saying, but put it down, give me an opportunity to try to address it. Granted, I have no real control over them other than for me to get involved and say, let me try to address the problem, try to make it better. Right? And that's the problem they're up against. They appoint a board. That's the end of their responsibility. The board then hires a director, and in fact, that's who runs the facility. So all they can really do is appoint a board. There's nothing else they can change the restrictions on the board. They can set ordinances as far as term limits on the board and so forth. They can remove people from the board, I guess, if somebody, they have stuff they can do, but they can't get involved in the day-to-day operations. They can't. That's way out of their purview. But I'm encouraging you, let me know what the issues are, and I will do everything I can to try to address them. I can't promise you there'll all be a stupendous outcome, but again, I'll try. That's all that's all I can say.
So that is a commitment made on public TV. You've got a liaison that's going to follow this up and make certain that things are proper, and then this full council will look at the board and what we can offer. I'm old too. Yeah. But we are looking into that. As I stated in the week before Christmas, that's what we were looking at.
Mr. President, can we have the solicitor address the issue of the state employee? That,
I think that's appropriate, Councilor Vandover. I would rather have him speak after thinking about it rather than shooting from the hip, so.
yes,
It's not gonna help us. We're gonna put it on the agenda, and that'll be one of the issues. Otherwise,
okay, very good. That's fine. That's fine. I just want it to be addressed.
yeah, we're not.
No, isn't there a problem with, the person that is appointed from the state? Remember our discussion
I understand.
from the board?
Is there, no, the residents board.
Right, I understand that, but I was,
I just gotta say, it's inappropriate to have all these bullets being thrown out there. Let's have a meeting. Let's get the right people in the meeting and at this venue. And then we'll address it. 9:32, that's the end of citizens' comments and council's response.
Motion to adjourn, are we there?
Made motion to adjourn. by
Second that.
Councilor Second by Council Vandover. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
We are adjourned.